of a little later than. follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, tonight we have Friday Night Smackdown, the night before Saturday Night main event. And this is Weebs of the Ring podcast, episode 94 for Smackdown coverage on 12/13/2024. And tonight for the Stampede, we had the headline story, the main event of what we're going to have for tomorrow is not Cody and KO, it's Mitchin and Tiffany and Bailey versus Chelsea Green, who will go for tomorrow's match is Mitchin versus Chelsea Green for the U.S. Woman title. The mid-card finally will be having a champion. We're finally going to be having that. But then, like I said, KO and Cody finally have final words. But it wasn't words, it was a brawl that's going to lead up for tomorrow's Saturday Night main event. But then for the mid-card, so we have Carmelo Hayes versus the mystery opponent. It was Braun Strowman. But then that wasn't the biggest thing. It was the Bloodline saga. And it continues with Big Jim opening the show that he has big plans for 2025. But then we have some commercial. Sorry, not commercial. We have some promo package of Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. We will break that down of the big tribal chief combat. And Kagano, Johnny, and Campia speak what's going on with the double tag team champion with what's going on. So stay tuned and let's see if the promo was actually great and who will come out of this, DIY or the machine guns.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control. We are a trio of weeps who love the entertainment of professional wrestling, so allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So be sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by Animo Wii Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. That's right, as you heard at the beginning during the Stampede, we're already on episode 94 of the first season of this podcast. That is crazy, and I hope your favorite waifu loves us even more than she does you. But as always, I am your world champion Walk-Ins here to kind of help guide you all through the stories and the forests that we have that have so many wrestlers and other superstars that we have to, kind of find the right apples to pick, the right bears of fruit when they're ready and ripe to become champions. But I am never alone in this endeavor, for you see, there are two lovely gentlemen up above me playing as the angel and the devil to myself. Which one is which? I'll let you guys decide. But first, on my right shoulder, we have the visionary himself, the legend, Vash. Vash, how you doing tonight?
It's myself, the visionary, legendary Vash, and put the fries in the bag. Carmelo Hayes, you got squash.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But of course,
the IWC is already on a rise because of that. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Of course they are. And of course, the person that's going to tell us exactly what the IWC are saying is the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. And I know you made that little thing earlier about who's the angel and the devil. I would definitely say I'm the devil, and Vash can be the angel. I mean, hey,
Interesting words choices.
I mean, here's the thing: we've done 94 episodes already. I mean, you got to look back at the kind of things I said. It definitely falls in that category.
Yep, you are truly the MJF of this podcast, but that is neither here nor there. This is not AEW talk. One day we'll have AEW talk, but
Yep.
it is not this day.
Might even cover Rampage.
Who would cover Rampage? But
No, the question is who will cover Collision, because that's the one that barely nobody ever speaks about.
Actually,
look here.
It's Rampage.
Here's the actual thing. Who's even watching him?
Yep.
But anyways,
look, I'm excited
for
night
to talk about.
I'm gonna say this to the chat. SmackDown was great. The one thing that I'm mad about it is the tape show vibe and the tape show atmospheric. I want to state this now to the audience because from what we know and aware that this is a tape show for next week, the 20th. Very disappointed about this because it's like I wish they did this on a Tuesday or Wednesday next week because storylines that could leak for tomorrow, and that's one thing I'm upset about as a fan. Critic, I support, I understand, but with today's type of social media, people will find out.
I mean, I had like two of my friends from work there today. Billy just finished the taping for the show, and he even told me himself that they didn't say anything about Saturday night's main event. Like, even a report came out from Fightful earlier saying they weren't gonna put anything out there to really reveal what happened with tomorrow's show. So, I mean, you also got to look at it from like a realistic point of view, because they obviously know they have a show tomorrow. So it really wouldn't make sense just to have a tape show next week and have Cody with the title or whatever get brought up with next week's show. So they definitely played it safe with that.
I agree with that. So plus, I'm glad to hear that.
They're probably going to be doing a lot of holiday themed stuff next week. So that's probably going to be most of what we see on next week's SmackDown, if not the following Raw after that.
Plus, we might also see a similar thing that we normally do, where you're probably after the show's over, or possibly even earlier in the day, they record vignettes and then they release them once the live shows come, because people that I'm friends with, and based on stuff I heard online, they don't really show anything going on backstage with those shows. They just show whatever you see in the ring with people coming out or cutting promos. You don't see any of the packages in the back when they're like interviewing people backstage. They usually save that for us, which is a good thing because
good. That's a really good thing, because then like we don't get spoiled on that. The people in the audience don't get spoiled on that when they're at the live shows. Like the only thing they get spoiled on is just whatever matches are going on, or if there's like a in-ring promo or anything like that. So good on them. Good on them.
The one thing I would say, because it's not really big story or anything related too much towards SmackDown, the coverage that we're doing for right after is more that what we saw, the Pretty Deadly. We have this musical. My guess in theory is that we might be getting it during like a Christmas special during the next 2 weeks. That's my guess, and hopefully, because after this year ends, I don't want to hear this fucking musical that never is gonna probably happen after that.
I don't want to hear it. Period.
Understandable.
I want to hear them. We got a preview. We got a wonderful preview like a few months ago when Nia Jax. What was it? When she was it her queen ceremony? I think.
Oh yeah,
I believe it was her queen ceremony. Yes, it was a queen ceremony.
I still remember that. Oh my god.
Yeah, where they butchered the shit out of that.
Sing it.
Yeah.
Oh, what an abomination to music. But you know what? We're not going to talk about abominations to music. We're going to talk about really what our headline story is going to be going into Saturday night's main event, because we have a new title on the line. We have the women's U.S. title. We had a nice little tournament going on. We have the semifinals tonight, 2 matches going on. The winners of both matches will face each other tomorrow night at Saturday night's main event. We had Michin versus Tiffany Stratton and Bayley versus Chelsea Green. Let's talk really quickly about Michin versus Tiffany Stratton first. So
yeah,
this let me just get the match part out of the way, because like really nothing too big happened in this match. Like it was kind of your standard WWE singles match that you see on a weekly basis. Like
Yeah.
both Tiffany, I will say this, both Tiffany Stratton and Michin were getting great crowd reactions, especially Michin like near the end of the match. Like she was getting some good pops and all that. And after there was a little bit of a botch that a lot of people were calling out online. I guess it had to do with like this roll away that Michin was trying to do to kind of, roll out of the way of the moonsault, but it was fine. It was whatever.
Yeah.
Like she was able to get up, pick up the win, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to say, as somebody who was rooting for Michin for this win, I was very happy about. I was rooting for Michin and Chelsea Green the whole time from the start of this U.S. title tournament, and to see Michin finally get this chance, a lot of people was doing chants for Tiffy time. Of course, she is over. A lot of crowd loves her, but for Michin, she has grown steadily in a good pace, going to NXT, doing the double and triple work a week, and she's been doing fantastic. Finally, the months later pays off, where she's finally in this, going to the finals. And from the botch that you're mentioning, I noticed that. And was I bothered by that? No, because they played it out right after. They recover and still work. Did it look wonky? Hell yes. Did that question mention what the hell she was doing? Hell yes. But then she still got the same results, so that's what matters. Mm-hmm. And out of one mistake that looks very obvious compared to the other 10 or 12 minutes we got or longer, and I love that we finally got picture. I think in that one we got it, because not the other one. I believe the one with Bailey and Chelsea Green we didn't.
That's Mufasa.
Oh my god, that commercial somebody asked for, that one movie that nobody's gonna see. Yes, ask Mufasa, because we definitely seen him more than a lot of the damn fucking other commercials. But we mentioned, out of seeing the 92% of all the other spots in that match and how well they did, one botch, I'm okay with. So congrats to Michin. I knew that she deserved it. I knew that she got it. Now the question is, who wins it? I know we will have that conversation in a few moments, but for the match itself, I was very happy. And with Bailey, she played it off very well. I feel like she was kind of leading the charge in that match, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Bailey certainly was leading the charge in that first match of Michin.
Sorry, Tiffany, my apologies.
Yeah.
In the match,
you're good.
In the match with Bailey and Chelsea Green, I was talking about, but my brain jumped into the topic
you're good.
Quick, just to give the first impression. But yes, but you knew what I meant.
No, you're good. You're good. It's all good. Oh man, but Drop, did you have anything to comment about the match itself?
So I know a lot of people are questioning Tiffany's position here in this match itself, because a lot of people were saying last week, why was she inserted in this match? Like, a lot of people were honestly expecting last week that Naomi was going to go over in the match itself, just based on the sort of story that was playing out with that. But then we saw a follow-up with whatever Naomi was going after the match, so it made sense with the outcome. And looking at how things transpired tonight, everything was also done by design, just like the whole Naomi situation. Because if we just reflect back on the whole Naomi situation that took place last week, a lot of people were in shock. Oh, Naomi's not advancing or whatever. But the thing is, there was still a plan for her, because we have this whole thing currently going on of who attacked Jade Cargill. And obviously, Naomi is the culprit, and they're really playing into it, especially with what we saw this week. So at least, she has some ongoing storyline of her. It's not like she's just left in the dust and she's waiting to see what sort of story or whatever she gets inserted in again. And then what we saw with Tiffany today, I mean, another thing to add on here before I get into this, star power, just like how Bayley was there, which we'll get into a little bit. They love doing that kind of thing. But the reason why Tiffany was involved in this match was also to see how things would play out after she lost the match, based on what we saw in the later segment in the back, where Nia Jax and Candice LeRae were talking to her, and they were talking about how they have a tag match next week against Bianca and Naomi. So that's obviously just playing into the whole thing where it's like, okay, Tiffany Stratton, you really need to cash in on Nia Jax. She's being a stuck-up bitch. She's treating you like garbage. Same thing with Candice LeRae for comments. Maybe wrestling isn't for you. So it's like, obviously looking at it right now, things were done by design. So at least you have your explanations there. It's not like they didn't give you nothing. At least you have your explanations there. Tiffany has a story with her, even though she lost. The same thing with Naomi. So want to thank you guys for 8 viewers. Really appreciate the support. That's awesome.
Yes.
But
really appreciate you guys coming out.
But when it comes like the overall match itself, I mean, it was a good showcase for both of them. I do like how they were getting good reactions, especially Tiffany Stratton, not taking anything away from Michin. But obviously, if you were to choose the fan favorite out of this, it is Tiffany Stratton when it comes from an audience's point of view, probably somebody they invest a lot of stock into. And that just plays in even more to the eventual babyface turn that I would assume we would get with Tiffany Stratton, because it really doesn't make sense for her to be heel after she...
I mean, yeah, after those reactions from tonight, that face turn is coming. Or, like, I mean, it could be a tweener thing, too, that she does, but it might just end up being a face turn.
Yeah, I think it is, especially if a certain queen comes back. I mean... Based on rumors that we heard circulate throughout the week about this new character, which I've been really rooting for her to go down this direction, because Charlotte just works a lot better as a heel. I mean, I don't have anything against Charlotte at all, like some people do. Like, I understand the criticism, and it does get a little annoying every once in a while when it comes to previous booking in the other administration, so I understand why people feel the same way. But it seems like we have a game plan here for both the ladies, so at least that's something to see. And it also made sense with the result as well, because you got to think about it like this as well. This title is pretty much meant for people that don't really get as much opportunities like a Bayley or a Becky or a Charlotte. So that's why Michin advancing in here makes sense, because this is something for her. Tiffany, I mean, she has a world championship waiting for her whenever she decides to get it, so she doesn't really need this. But I thought the match was I thought the match was all right.
Yeah, and like a lot of the stuff which you kind of started hinting at a little bit too there is just like the crux of all of this is just the stuff that's surrounding it, and it's all to do with, like, you know, Nia Jax holding the title, and like it's very interesting how Nia is kind of treating Tiffany in all this, and Candice is kind of picking up on it as well with some of the antics she does. So it's like, okay, we're gonna keep putting Tiffany down to be like, oh well, you know, maybe some people aren't ready for a singles title or something, or like, you know, some people just aren't built for that. Like, you're just not built for like singles competition, which is interesting for them to say, even though she's a former NXT women's champion. But I guess we're not gonna count that with anything. Whatever, that's being very super nitpicky, because like the story here is just like, okay, we're gonna keep pushing Tiffy to the point where like she's gonna doubt herself so much that she's not gonna be able to win a singles title, but it's gonna end up biting Nia in the ass. And whether that's next week, like they kind of teased it possibly happening next week, but I feel like if it did, we would have gotten spoilers for it.
Yeah, they probably would have saved that for a moment that's live too.
Yeah, so it's like it could lead to like Charlotte, for example, coming in, because like I could see them like putting Charlotte against Nia really quick, but like Tiffany inserting herself and all that, stealing the win from Charlotte. I mean, that could probably be how you set up that feud right there, with Tiffany kind of taking away Charlotte's moment right there. Like that's just an example of what you can do. But like that's the whole thing with like Tiffany in this tournament and all, because like I know we had talked about, okay, well, why is she in this, like why did she win last week and all that stuff, and like this is why, like this is when you get rewarded for the whole wait and see method of things, because it's like, okay, we asked why, we weren't really like pissed at it, but we were like curious, we were like,
what's the results of this process of why it happened?
Exactly. And like now that we got it, it's just like, okay, we could see the vision, everything's fine. We can go about our merry day then. But like sometimes that also bites you in the ass, but hey, that's neither here nor there with that.
If I may add, can we transition as
Yes.
well when it comes to what led up to the loss for Tiffany with Nia and
Mm.
Candice saying that, hey, next week, Candice told Nia, like, hey, we got a tag team title with the new title holder, Naomi and Bianca, as the tag team champions. So that match is now placed for next week. So it also made it feel like Candice was trying to put that one over for Tiffany to kind of take that spot as a favoritism as well.
Yeah.
Oh, she definitely was, you know. And I mean, this whole story thing too with like Tiffy and Nia and all them, like this, I love how this bleeds into the tag team division and all that stuff, and like what's going on there. Because like we saw Nick Aldis talking to Bianca and Naomi, and he was gonna strip Bianca of that
Yep.
title.
With no hesitation. He was ready, like, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. You got no partner.
Yeah, but Naomi was so quick to jump on that. She was a little too quick for that, and Bianca was kind of quick to accept
Respond.
that. So what are you guys thinking of like this development when it comes to Jade Cargill and who possibly attacked her?
Well, look, if I may just say, when somebody goes online and say, "Yo, it wasn't me," I feel like you was being Shaggy from the song of "It Wasn't Me," because Naomi, right after that happened, the whole weekend, the crowd was saying, "Yo, it had to be Naomi, it had to be," and she kept defending herself. Nah, guys, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Come on, why do you think it would be me? And then this show tonight, during that segment, when they got like, "Nah, Bianca, I gotta relinquish that title for you." Such a smart move when Naomi said, "No, no, no, Nick, you can't do this." Bianca has never relinquished something in her life. She'll never relinquish something. She said it twice for a character after the Bianca to hear, like, word? Shit, you are right. I've never relinquished something. You know what? I like what she's saying. That's true. We have done this before, with Sasha Banks before and everything, where other people
Mm,
have replaced somebody because somebody's out because of medical or some reason. We're part of the same squad, the same group, so that's why it could be replaced. She's part of the big three here. We're part of the big three, so that's easy. I wish they said that just for the fun. Wade Barrett, where you at? Big three. I believe it was Wade Barrett. No, I believe it was Corey Graves that always kept saying it, the big three. Remember, it
yeah,
was for
that was it was something they were trying to get over. Like,
yeah,
oh
but I
yeah,
feel like
this
it
is the
didn't
big
land.
three. It did not. It
It
did
did not.
not because
But I felt
sorry,
like
they're not the big three.
and not. But for the segment itself, it was just very funny of how Naomi planned that so fast and she was so quick with
Mm.
the words. So I was very proud of that for Naomi, how sneaky she was. Do I believe that she's still the person now for Jade? Yes, I think she is. If she doesn't, then I don't know why this story would take so long that who'd have revealed it, but I feel like it's
Mm.
very obvious now of Naomi to take this opportunity and makes it more obvious.
Yeah, because
All right.
um yeah, because you also got to look at it like this. You got to think, what is Naomi's like inner motive when it comes to a lot of things? And when you think about that,
Mhm.
you got to go back to when she made her return at the Royal Rumble this year, because the main reason why her and Mercedes left WWE is because they felt like they weren't being treated properly, especially with whatever was going on in the previous administration. I'm not sure if Vash remembers, maybe you do, Watkins. So when it came to the whole thing, when Mercedes and Naomi won the tag belts, they really wanted to represent it and make it feel special. And I
Yeah.
think this was around the time where like Ronda or whatever was champion and they were doing this little tournament thing or
Hmm.
whatever. And they didn't really want to focus on that. They wanted to focus on the tag title. So they both left the company. Mercedes was doing her own thing in the Indies. Naomi went to TNA, had a great run there, tried to reinvent herself. So you're thinking when you go to her return at the Royal Rumble, this is pretty much like, okay, this is my second chance in WWE. I really want to make things right. I really want to be treated a lot better this time, especially with Triple H running these things. And if you look at Naomi's, run throughout this year, it hasn't really been that great when it comes to the overall presentations of like the whole winning and losing streak. She hasn't really been able
Right.
to really get at the top that she really wants to be. So looking at what's going on between Bianca and Jade and all these other people around her, she probably looks at it where she's like, you know what? I have these people around me that are making me feel like a loser. It makes me feel like I can't achieve anything with these people around me. So her jumping to the gun real quick to get a championship title like that when Nick Aldis is about to vanquish it and just get rid of it, probably do another tournament or whatever the case may be. It makes sense why she's in that desperation mode where she's like, okay, I got my opportunity here. I need this. And that just builds into the heel turn because, I mean, what's one thing Triple H has been doing a great job when it comes to heels? Heels that actually have some sense of why they turned when it comes to a Drew McIntyre, when it comes to a Kevin Owens. You actually understand their inner motive, and that probably could play into Naomi's favor as well when it comes to her. So at least that gives her an interesting character because it could help evolve Naomi even more and actually bring out a spark that maybe a lot of us haven't seen before. And that's why I'm really liking this direction of her character, because I'm all for seeing people grow and evolve into something big. And I think if the cards align the right way, I feel like this could do very well for Naomi.
Oh yeah, and I like how you two pointed out that Triple H is really good with the whole justified heel shtick, because like we see that, like you mentioned, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens recently. Eventually, when Randy Orton does, that'll be that too. Solo Sikoa,
that's
the
another
Temu
one. Yeah,
bloodline and all that.
Yep.
I mean, they're justified in their actions. I mean, not saying it's right, but like I get it.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah. And okay, so what do you guys think of the idea? Because I know this idea has also been floating around too. The idea that possibly Bianca and Naomi were working together in all this. Like they were trying, I guess, this overarching or I guess convoluted way to just get Jade Cargill out of there. So what do you guys think of that idea? Just because I have seen that being floated around, like, oh, Naomi did it for Bianca, like kind of that whole spiel.
But did it for The Rock?
Yeah, did it for The Rock.
I don't mind. It depends on what's the execution, because I remember us speaking about this for the past couple months that can they turn Bianca to a heel? We will love to see that again back from NXT. But right now, of how she's so over for the fans, of how she's a role model, like for the women and kids, for like of how she is for the John Cena version. So it's hard for can Bianca be a heel now in today's time? It's hard, but I would love to see it. From the time I've seen clips of her in NXT, she was very aggressive. Her mic work was amazing. So I would love to see what she could do now in today's era of being a heel, but it really depends of how they execute it. So if they do a little 2 against 1, like, hey, Jade, you came all this pop, and then you got this big entrance and just jump into this, but I want my girl Naomi and everything. If they make it work well, I'm all for it.
Yeah, the thing I think they could easily do with Bianca, it's pretty simple. You look at Bianca; she was known to be in the main event card when she's going after titles. When it comes to a EO, when it comes to a Bailey, Charlotte, etc., so on, she's always been in that picture. So if they were to align with one another, it would be one of those things where it's like Jade is keeping Bianca away for where she really needs to be, and Bianca might feel like she's being watered down and she's not really in that spotlight that she was before. That's the only thing I could really think of on the top of my head that would work when it comes to that justifiable when it comes to like a heel turn if she does align with Naomi. I mean, so far it seems like it's going in Naomi's favor, but I mean, I'll take a 2-for-1, especially if you're trying to like shuffle up the division, because normally when they turn certain people face, they also turn certain people heel around the same time. So at least it's like, okay, I'm turning this person face, but this person's turning heel now. So we got Tiffany Stratton more than likely turning face soon. So I mean, maybe there's someone else I'm not thinking of that might be heading down that direction as well. But it's like that I feel like that could be the reason. It's just you're keeping me for where I need to be. I had to babysit you because Bianca, she always did things on her own, but she could easily just throw shots at Jade, being like, "Oh, I have to hold your hand. I'm always in.
Easily, yeah.
I'm the one mostly in the match. You're just there for these big spots. You're not really doing shit."
I was just thinking about that because like it's almost always Jade Cargill getting the hot tag for each match and all that. Like I'd have to go back and look at it, but like it always seems like that's the case. So like Bianca can totally pull all that because like I feel like a Bianca heel turn could still work, and I think it's because today I saw a video of both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre going to a wrestling club at a school. And I mean, technically, Drew McIntyre is a heel, but he's going to this school to talk to these kids, and he's being very jokey. Like we kind of live in a good time, good era too, where it's just like we can have these heel characters, like on screen, they're justified in their actions and blah blah blah. It's just like you could get away with still doing charity work in that aspect. And I think with Bianca, her character is so seated in ego that you can have like a very egotistical heel Bianca, like, because that's the thing. She calls herself the EST, which means she is the best, the great S, the strong S, the fast S. So it's like, okay, you can have a cocky babyface with that gimmick, and it's worked for her in this time. But like, you give a good heel that kind of gimmick, and considering the amount of work and progress that Bianca's made since she's been on NXT, like she could really make that into something really good. And especially if we're having like a Charlotte coming back too. Like I know like babyface Charlotte isn't the best thing, but like just imagine just like a more fierce Bianca and Charlotte feud. Like that would be something that would be really cool and interesting.
Yeah.
But like yeah. Sorry, I kind of got you off right there with your thoughts with it. It's just that stream of consciousness you kind of get when you're talking about like why people might turn this way or that way. Because like even Tiffany's like
I was gonna say
justified in turning on Nia. So
it makes sense when it comes to the comparison for Bianca and what can lead up to, and it will help other type of characters in the women division to show face, like we're gonna get with Tiffany, we're gonna get with Mitchin, and probably Bailey right now still has face. So having these other characters that has been face for so long to turn them heel, I feel like will be a great opportunity. And with Nia has improving, also to add a comment about Drew McIntyre and with Sheamus, it also threw me off as well when I first saw this clip. It was like, wait a minute, aren't they two? Last time they spoke in front of a TV, they were not friends, but then now they're hanging out. So I'd love to see that that's still a thing.
Yeah. Oh man. But any other thoughts with this part of our semifinal round of the tournament? I know there's more story going all around with like Tiffany Stratton's like part of the bracket and all that. And I mean, even with Mitchin too, I mean, she's made great strides this past year in getting the crowd behind her and all that. So I at least want to give her flowers for that. Whether she wins or loses tomorrow, she's being built up as a big deal,
Yeah, I shared all my thoughts on this.
Okay.
With Chelsea Green, I'm happy for her.
Oh, Chelsea Green and Bailey. Oh, they had a match. Yeah, I mean, it was mainly Bailey throughout, with Chelsea getting, quick roll-ups and cheap shots thanks to Piper Niven getting involved. And, thanks to some interference by Piper, Chelsea was able to push through the match and hard-fought victory, clean as a whistle, no interference. I may have been talking about interference. There was none. Piper didn't help. Chelsea didn't even need help from Piper. What are you talking about? It was Bailey getting distracted by Piper, not Piper doing anything. Chelsea Green winning cleanly over Bailey to advance and get further, just closer to that U.S. title that she so desperately deserves.
For me, I was laughing. I was laughing about how Bailey kept being distracted with Piper, and the ref not call it out once. Like, hey, you go leave. I'm like, no, she has to stay to move the plot. The plot is for Chelsea Green to win and have Bayley distracted. The plot needs to get moved. Piper continue being distracted, and I will continue just staring into the crowd. I'm like, ref, this is too obvious, but sure, let's go with this.
So, I'll just come out and say this straight off the bat. This is the biggest win of Chelsea Green's career. And the reason why I say that is because Bayley is one of the 4 horsewomen. So if you pin at least the 3 that are still here, because the other one is in AEW, but you have Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky. You pin any of those ladies, that's a big win in your book. And Bayley's has always been known to be a very selfless person. She gives back to the business.
Very true, yes.
That's why I said a lot this year when they were building Bayley up to actually make up for all those losses that she had when she was heel, when she was in Damage Control. I had nothing against it. Even when some people thought she shouldn't win certain matches, I still didn't have anything against it, just mainly because I mean, out of all people, you really needed to rebuild her up and help her get that stock back, because when I say she took loss after loss after loss with Damage Control, it was a fuck ton of losses. It's like inserting a whole bunch of coins in the little fucking Pac-Man game you're playing at the laundromat. You're just wasting all your money. Each quarter's going away. That's pretty much like Bayley's losing streak. She just kept happening.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest win of Chelsea Green's career. And yeah, like you said, this was a match. I sort of expected it to head down this direction because when Michin won, I was like, okay, more than likely Chelsea Green is going to win the next match. The only reason why I understood, and it made a lot of sense because WWE has done this before in the past, a lot of people were in favor of a Bayley being in the finals, is because in the past they've known to put it on someone that has a lot of stock, and then they could build up that title. And then let's say hypothetically Chelsea Green didn't advance and Bayley won tomorrow. You could build Chelsea Green to win that title after Bayley gave a lot of credibility to that title. So then once she beat Bayley that time, you know, people would go crazy, go nuts and everything like that. But again, going back to what I said, that everything was done by design, and it makes the perfect sense because there's already a story here when it comes to Chelsea Green and Michin. It's not like they're meeting each other for the first time. They actually had a little feud going on not that long ago. It was like pretty much setting up the mid-card division with a title that we're finally seeing come into air, and they're pretty much showing us something like that. Was it as interesting as one of the main storylines we always follow? Not necessarily, but it was a little something to actually make it feel special in a way, so at least you cared about it, and a lot of people were actually invested in it. And just looking at the result from their previous match when it came to that dumpster match, I mean, I feel like this is an easy dub for Chelsea Green to get her win back. I mean, I'm pretty confident that she's going to get that title. Not that many people are against it at all, really, because a lot of people are in favor of Chelsea Green winning. I mean, if we've noticed throughout the year, you know, Chelsea Green has been getting a lot of attraction when it comes to the fans, when they see her in the ring. And that wasn't forced either. It was done organically, kind of like how when LA Knight was building up his stock, everything was done organically. Same with other people throughout the year that they were building up. Everything was done organically because it's not like, okay, we got to put you up against all these top contenders so people could actually give a shit about you. Like, no, it was just a natural thing. And she definitely deserves it. One of the things I'm hoping that they do is that I understand it's a part of her gimmick to act the way she does, but I'm a huge advocate when it comes to women's wrestling. I care about seeing it on my television. I'm hoping that, you know, we treat this title with importance, where Chelsea Green, which I have faith in her, could actually make it feel special. Doesn't have to be a crazy ass story, but at least give us something that's like that we can invest in, so we can, like, you know, tune into it every week. I don't want it to be one of those things where it's like, okay, we're getting 2 or 3 minute matches and that's it. Like a good example, if you give us something at the level of like a Bianca and Piper Niven that we saw in the previous week. That's the kind of stuff I want to see revolved around that title. I want a good match and I want a compelling story to go along with it, but she's the perfect candidate for that title. Nothing against Michin, but story-wise, I mean, gotta get your win back.
Well, like, that's the thing, too, with, like, Chelsea Green. She's very charismatic, and she knows how to use her time and space very wisely. Like, you can give her whatever. Like, I mean, just look at last week as a great example. She was just there to kind of help Piper against Bianca, and she played her role perfectly. You know? And another thing, too, that kind of helps with, like, well, I guess quote unquote helps with people that might not be a fan of Chelsea Green winning this. There's going to be another women's mid-card title as well, you know, on Raw. And when you look at that bracket and who's in that and who's probably going to be in the semis, if not the finals, that's going to be more your work rate title, at least to start. Okay. And I think that's very important to kind of differentiate the two, at least as we're starting out, because like with Chelsea, she's going to elevate the U.S. title because of her character work and charisma and like the way she can tell a story in the ring. Whereas with the IC title, whoever wins that, they're going to be the ones that are going to be putting on like the tough matches, like again, the work rate matches and all that. Like that's why, like, I'm sure you guys saw the reports too this weekend. I think I had mentioned it on Monday too, like Natty being one of the people that people are pushing for to win it. I'm just like, you know what? If she's the first one, fine, whatever. Because like at least there'll be it kind of ties into your veteran comment earlier, Drop, about like, okay, we have a veteran now holding this title. This is fine because then they can build up that title with their ring work and all that stuff. But yeah, like again with this match, I mean, it was mainly Bayley doing everything, but I mean that's kind of the point of Chelsea Green is like she's like her character just isn't a good wrestler, but she knows how to get around a match and how to be crafty and win a match and all that.
I wonder if we're gonna be transitioning into her actually knowing how to wrestle and knowing what she's doing. So I wonder if we're ever going to transition into that.
Well, I think that's part of like, yeah, that's kind of part of like her craftiness, because it's like, it's not the fact that she doesn't know a lot of moves or anything, or it's just
no.
She knows what she can get away with, and she knows how to like get around somebody.
Agreed, but when I'm talking about like her character, if we're ever going to transition for her from going from the U.S. title winner to in the future, her going for the main title of the WWE, I wonder if we're ever going to transition to that. So I'm excited for the journey if we ever get there, is what I'm saying.
See, to add on to that, this is exactly what I want this U.S. title to do, because I spoke about it before in the past, because we see the exact same thing play out with the men's division. I'll use Gunther for example. Gunther came in, he was dominant in NXT UK, dominant in NXT, came in, won the Intercontinental title, revived it. I'm not saying that just for the fuck of it. He revived the living shit out of that fucking title, and he made it feel special. And the point I'm trying to get here is with the ladies, you can use this mid-card to add stock, build your character, make it feel special, to then once you drop that belt, you can move to the next level. It's like you're playing a video game. You keep training over and over and over again. You're leveling up. You're getting different skills. Then once you're ready to move on and go up against that boss or whatever, you're like, okay, Chelsea Green loses the title. They put a lot of stock into her. Maybe we could potentially look at her as a main event player. And I know a lot of people might think I'm crazy for saying that, but you never know how the character could evolve from point A to point B, because because there's a lot of people in here that were looked at, oh, they couldn't really ever get there. I mean, look at, I'm going to use Swerve Strickland for a good example. A lot of people saw a lot of potential in Swerve when he was in WWE. He won the North American Championship. Obviously, things didn't work in his favor because of how NXT really wasn't on the top of the map like it used to be. He ended up leaving the company, He went to AEW. He rebuilt his stock, and he's a main event player over there. And the reason why I use that is you could easily look at Chelsea Green and be like, she's just stuck in the mid card. She's going to be a mid carder for life.
Yeah.
But you never know. I'm not saying you're wrong because you have every right to say that, but you never know if things are orchestrated a certain way and it makes sense and Triple H actually adds some sense to it and he's not insulting your intelligence, just putting it out there just for the fuck of it. It could potentially reach levels like that. Same thing with the Intercontinental Championship for the ladies. You could use that to put stock into them, and then maybe they can go after the main title in the division. That's the whole point of it. I mean, that's actually basically how it was for years. Like, even around the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression, etc., so on.
Even before that.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, a lot of guys back then.
Ultimate Warrior. Freaking Macho Man. Like, all the way back to the 80s. The IC title has always been, like, if you win the IC title, you're the number one contender.
Yeah.
Like,
we're not saying that they're like them, but it's pretty much saying mid-card.
Yeah.
That they have the potential to get there.
Yeah. You know, so I do have faith because just have how Triple H has handled the IC and US titles so far. I know we've kind of had a little rocky road with the IC title recently.
Yeah.
And I think part of that has to do with the whole 2-hour time limit thing on USA that they have right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gets fixed. Because that's the thing, like, they're doing like promo stuff and all that stuff in the backstage that's just going right up on YouTube, but I don't want to get into too much conversation about all that stuff right now. So let's just kind of one other thing I wanted to add too, because this actually helps us transition into our next part, because I'm glad you brought up the whole idea of like, oh, they're only going to be a mid-carder, blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh, they're not going to like elevate to like a world title status. One of the people that come to mind with all that was Kevin Owens. Because like, he's somebody that like, especially so early on in his career when he won a top title, like he had only been on the main roster barely a year, I think it was. And he's already your second now Universal Champion. And he held that title for quite a while, like 3 or 4 months he held it. And he had a compelling story with Chris Jericho during that time. So it's like, that's how you bring somebody from the mid-card up. Not like what happened with the WWE title around that time with Jinder Mahal. But so the reason I brought up Kevin Owens is because he has another shot at the world title this Saturday, tomorrow night, against Cody Rhodes in a normal one-on-one confrontation. I'm looking forward to the match. I think the match is going to be good, but before we get into the match tomorrow, we had one more face-to-face with Kevin and Cody Rhodes. And as has been tradition for the past few weeks, Kevin no-shows the face-to-face.
Yeah.
And instead, Michael Cole's just like, all right, well, let's just go ahead with the interview because I'm an unbiased journalist. That's cool. That's neat. Let me just keep proving Kevin Owens right.
And also, he didn't want to be outside in the cold. Let's also state that because, last time it was 30 degrees outside. So Michael Cole said, I don't want to be a
jacket.
I don't want to be outside doing another interview in the cold weather. So I understand, Michael Cole. I will be the same.
He was wearing a jacket. He was fine. But I love how Cole's still being an unbiased journalist here. He's just like, hey, Cody, what did Triple H give you, huh? What did he give you to use, huh? And okay. Who here doesn't think it's the Winged Eagle title belt? Like,
if only I had a cricket, like a cricket soundboard, I'd be like, nobody. So everybody thinks it's the Winged Eagle. Like everyone thinks. Wait, no.
We need to invest
Kevin
in
Owens
that,
said it was a Stardust. He said that KO said to Cody that he was better at Stardust. So maybe it was right. It was an Easter egg that it was a Stardust gloves.
We stop bringing up Stardust on TV.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 2 weeks in a row that they brought up
I bet you
Stardust.
Cody be mad. I'd be like, can we stop bringing this bullshit, gold ass fucking spray paint ass motherfucker? I bet you he gets mad about this shit. Like, damn, can we stop bringing this shit up?
That's actually like, just on the topic of Stardust, and since Watkins brought up like how people were looking at Kevin Owens' position when he came to the main roster, how people thought he was just gonna stay at that level as a mid-carder. I mean, Cody's also another great example. Because throughout his entire career, a lot of people just looked at him as this mid-carder. I'm not sure if you guys saw this meme before, but there's like this famous tweet. I think somebody has like a Pepe meme where it's like, you're my favorite mid-carder to Cody. And then someone's like, and Cody's like, thank you. Because that's how people looked at Cody Rhodes. And this is one person, and this isn't like me over-exaggerating at all, but this is actually one person that changed the game in professional wrestling. Because he went back, he reinvented himself, went through the indies, went through different promotions when it came to
started his own wrestling promotion.
You're taking my words out of my mouth, man. But basically, like what I was saying, he went through the indies, he went through different promotions to reinvent himself to be that main event guy. And like Vash just said, he started up his own promotion, so he can make wrestling good again, because at that time it was needed, especially at 2019 WWE. Very scary times. Definitely do not want to go back to that. I can only imagine if this podcast was in existence, what we would say throughout each of these shows. And I'm pretty sure Vash would not be optimistic Vash around this time, especially if you had to witness what me and Watkins went through. I mean, I don't really think you can justify Roman Reigns getting dog food over his face.
I will say this: if we had a Patreon tier for Weebs of the Ring, it would be Vash watching 2019 Raw, and God, he will be reacting to this bullshit.
Yeah,
how long can he last to be optimistic? How long can he last?
You can do that by yourself.
Yeah, but
you can do that.
No, like, joining me.
Yeah,
if I'm suffering, I'm suffering together.
Yeah, but it's like. But it's like, yeah, he reinvents himself, and here he is now. And look at him even now. I mean, he's the face of the company. He's at the press. He's doing all the things with the kids. Basically everything that John Cena did when he was world champion all those years ago. He's pretty much that guy that they've been searching for when it comes to being the poster boy, or if Kevin Owens wants to say it, the golden boy of WWE, because that's pretty much the perfect example of a world champion. You want them to represent all these different kinds of things. So it's like with the both of them, they proved people wrong to reach levels that they are now, and that's something I could really appreciate. They went through a lot of hard work to get to where they're at.
If I may add to one of the stuff that KO said not in this interview on Friday Night SmackDown, but it relates to the interview aspect, because early this week, KO has been making the rounds of interviews, and I believe in one of them, he said to the interviewer, like, Cody Rhodes is a bad influence. He has people around the world that he's influencing the parents to bleach the kids' hair to just be just like him, to bleach their hair. Like, how's that a good thing? Bro, the way KO's exaggerating, like literally be saying that, Cody is literally being the poster boy of telling the kids around the world, bleach your hair, have it blonde as mine. I'm like, KO, you're exaggerating shit in such a great way that's kind of believable, and that's hilarious.
Well, like, that's the thing. It's like, again, he is very justified in the words that he says, and especially tonight, like tonight of all nights. Like, I love how he told Cody, earlier this year, you had all of your friends help you finish your stupid story, and what did you do? You spat in our face by teaming with Roman Reigns. I love how he used that phrase, because that should be how they feel. And I don't blame them for feeling that way, because, hey, yes, we did help you. We helped the whole company try to get Roman Reigns out of power. We tried to stop the Bloodline all together now to finish your story, And yet, you're going to just take all that and throw it out? You're going to take all of our hard work, and especially somebody like Kevin Owens, who, again, had to deal with all this shit since its inception.
Yeah, even before Cody was here.
Exactly, and it kind of reminds me of, if anybody, want to take a little, like a tally of the amount of pop culture reference we're doing. It reminds me of the guy Two-Face from the movie of The Dark Knight. It's a side of the two-sided coin that is a gray line. Is Cody right? Yes, but it's also KO right? Yes. It's like, where do you draw the line? Cody did finish the story, but then he decided to side with the the final boss, Roman Reigns. He decided to side it with him, and as a tribal chief. Sorry, the final boss is actually The Rock. Wrong person. My fault, Chad. The tribal chief. He went to side with him, even though Randy, KO, they've been going against him for years. Both sides are not wrong, but both sides are right. Like, they have their own perspective. For Cody, he believes he did the right thing because Roman had the audacity to even ask for his help, even though he just signed the book and said, "Yo, I'm gonna tag team with you." Is the right decision or not? But as me being the champion, they decide to have the decision. So I feel like it's such a good type of duality with KO and Cody that it sucks that KO's not gonna lose. I mean, that KO is gonna lose tomorrow, even though I want him to win, and I'm gonna just state that now. It sucks because I felt like KO will have a great opportunity tomorrow to win this championship, but Drop and me spoke about this a couple days ago, and it would be remiss that if Raw to Netflix, with the speculation of Cody going to Raw, if he loses, it will be bad luck when Netflix wants the home hitters. They want the best of the best people. So for Cody to be champion tomorrow, it won't help. It will affect.
Yeah. But basically, what I said within that conversation is a lot of people complain about how WWE's belts look nowadays. I trust me, I understand a lot of people want to go back to the old days. Yeah. That's why tomorrow is going to be fucking phenomenal. Everybody's going to have that picture of Cody Rhodes with the American Eagle tomorrow. It's a profile picture on Twitter. I honestly might even just print it out and frame it on my wall. I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, same here.
But it's like, they're all about marketing nowadays. That's why they have the big W on a lot of their titles that they have, which I've grown accustomed to. It doesn't really bother to me. I just want the titles to mean something. But the main reason, like, I understand why Kevin Owens should win the title. It makes a lot of sense when it comes to the reasons why. But I'm also trying to look at it from a marketing perspective because they're investing a lot of stock in Cody, and I feel like they're already advertising him of making an appearance on the Netflix debut. They're doing a lot of press. They're doing a press in Stamford, Connecticut, which is like an hour away with me next week. I just feel like they want to keep the belt on him because there's still a lot of feuds for Cody to go at, because you still got The Rock around the corner. You got Randy Orton. They probably don't want Cody to drop the belt and then get it back to kickstart something with The Rock or Randy Orton or whoever else comes his way. That's why I feel like that's why I can't personally see it.
Yeah, and I think that's just that's kind of the problem with this right now, is the fact that, like, because you have this high octane feud with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, and Kevin Owens, like, we're reaching that point with Kevin Owens right now where it's like, yeah, he's main event level and all that, but how many times can you keep throwing him at a title shot and have him lose?
Yeah,
you know. Like, we're reaching that limit now where it's just like, okay, he's either got to win one of these or what are we doing here? You know, it kind of similar lines to, like, Drew, because it's like, okay, Drew has had how many world title shots this year? Like, and yeah, you could say, you know, one of them he did actually win, but it's like he lost that WrestleMania moment. He lost his Money in the Bank cash-in moment. He lost the opportunity to win the title in front of everybody moment. Like, how many more chances? And then even before then, he faced Roman like one or two times or something. And it's like, you know, how many more shots is he gonna get now? You know,
exactly.
So, yeah, and like, again, Kevin Owens is getting into that level. It's like, okay, he's gonna have to start winning now, especially if we're doing this heel turn and all that. And like, we're just in a weird spot because it's like, yeah, with Netflix coming, they want like their big stars. Netflix definitely wants like their biggest members and their biggest draws and all that for their show. So it's just like, okay, yeah, keep the belt on Cody, but then like you also reach a limit too with Cody, where it's just like, okay, where's the kink in his armor? Where's like the fall from all of this? Because it's just like, yeah, he's had a great year. He finished the story and all that stuff, but it's like, what happens when that honeymoon phase? What happens when like that feeling of finishing that story ends?
Yeah,
because it'll end when he loses the title, and it's just like, oh wait, my story's not over yet. I need to win it back again. I need to get that back. And like, that's the next evolution of the story. Is just like, okay, because he has to drop it eventually.
Yeah. But who's going to drop it too?
Exactly. And it's just like, Kevin Owens right now is at the perfect spot right now where he could take it, And it's like, he could throw that wrench in there. And like, I've said it before and I said it again, like, if he did it, I don't mind them hot potatoing just now with the title because, like,
you could get it back in Royal Rumble or the next.
Yeah.
I feel like Royal Rumble.
Hell, they keep stacking up the Netflix premiere. You keep stacking it. Why not do a rematch then? If you want to keep adding things to it,
I've lost track of what's happening on the Raw Netflix. I've lost track. I feel like there's so much stuff going on.
So far, we got Roman and like Solo having a match. CM Punk and Seth Rollins are rumored to have a match, and we know Cody's making an appearance. We don't know what he's doing yet, but
we know John Cena there. We know The Rock is there.
Oh yeah, The Rock's gonna be
the finals for the women's IC titles. Then
so it's like I understand like that sort of direction, and if like things were booked a different way. Let's say, for example, we did get that Survivor Series match, because we talked about this before, where we're like, let's say, for example, like just starting off with this whole Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens story. I remember bringing up that when it came to the sort of actions that Kevin Owens made around the time, it didn't really make sense for him to be rewarded a championship opportunity because he's using a pile driver on Randy Orton. That's a move that's banned from the company. Haven't used it for years. Yeah, it's safe and all, but it was just done by design because of the shock value to play into the story. So we're looking at that sort of direction the story was heading at that time. If they had a match at that pay-per-view at Survivor Series and the title wasn't on the line because you don't want to reward Kevin Owens for bad behavior, that right there would make a lot of sense. Have KO go over, have him get his win, have him destroy Cody, and then with him getting that win on Cody, you could have this match right here, and then if Cody won, maybe that would have been okay, because at least Kevin Owens got something out of it. That's how I would have done it before. As for the person to like take it off of him, I mean, the only person that really makes the most sense to me if they do it is Randy Orton. That's the person that makes the sense to me, because at least if Randy Orton wins the title off of him, you have a story that's been building for years on years between the both of them, and you could easily tell something out of that. So it's not like Cody's figuring out how he's going to tell a story with, hypothetically, he loses a title to, I don't know, LA Knight. Let's say I'm not saying this is going to happen. Well, eventually LA Knight would be a world champion. But let's say, for example, LA Knight was heel. He won it off of Cody Rhodes, and then Cody Rhodes has to get it back. Okay, what's the story there? I just want to get my title back. Okay. Randy Orton, you got a story where it's like, okay, the teacher has the prize. He has the prize in his possession. You got a lot of story within all those years comes a relationship between the both of them. You could tell that story, and then Cody could get the title back, because I would assume towards the end of that feud, if it went on for a couple of months, Cody would eventually get it back, because I highly doubt he's going to get one championship reign throughout his WWE title career. I highly doubt this is, you're just going to be known as a one-time champion. You're going to get probably, I mean, at the end of his career, might get like 5, 6, 7, 8, but he'll get a lot. but it's like you could easily play into that. So we don't even know what they're doing with that. But
I agree. It's tough work to lead up to because we're seeing kind of like we're seeing the step by step, the week to week. We don't know the 4D chess of how Triple H is leading up to his Cody, because we know Raw and Netflix could change everything. We know that next year has a lot of new players. John Cena returning, the last two were Randy. We have many players that could actually get these new title wins and add them to the resume. So a lot of things are unexpected type of variables that could change the whole chart.
Yeah, and just I like how we have a WWE now where it's just it is somewhat unpredictable too, because like
which I'm happy about.
They could just do the thing where it's just like, all right, let's hot potato a little bit, or like even if they do end up going the route like you said, drop with like Randy holding the title and Cody having to get it back from him. I mean, you could do a roundabout way where it's like Kevin Owens takes it from Cody, injures him, and then you have a returning Randy Orton come, take the title from Kevin, and then now that he has it, it's up to Cody now to get it back from Orton, and then you can kind of start diving into that. But like that's whole like just fantasy booking and like predictions and all that stuff. But like there's many different routes that can go with this, and you got to be careful with it too, because like again with Kevin, he's in this spot where it's just like he kind of has to pull out a win, you know.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people kind of throw out an idea of like, oh, this weekend it could be a DQ finish where it's like Kevin Owens technically does win the match, but he doesn't win the title, and it's just like I wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't either.
Much rather things. Yeah, I would.
If I were to choose something to happen,
conclusive,
I would rather have the Randy Orton return over that. Be honest.
Yeah.
Because at least if you wanted to play into that, maybe this becomes something that revolves around the three of them. So at least you could save both Cody and KO in that situation. Because now Randy, because now Randy's inserted in it, and it makes sense story wise. Just in case Randy Orton might want to tap into things revolving around Cody Rhodes, and then maybe things branch off of there, and then things extend from Cody. It goes from like Cody to KO. And then Randy inserts himself, revolves around them. KO gets taken out of the equation because Sami Zayn soon. And then we have the whole Cody and Randy Orton story. But it all depends what they do. It's honestly, you know what the big factor is? And this isn't just a theory, it's a given thing. It honestly revolves on what The Rock wants to do, honestly.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Because like, and even then, that's just conflicting reports we keep getting.
I know.
Like,
I still feel like he's not
gonna be.
Yes, and he's busy. He has WrestleMania. Like, nah, Buggy. He will make the space. He literally probably has his assistant be like, make space for me to be working for WrestleMania weekend. Yeah, like that, like he's part of Tico because he wants to be part of that. It's in blood. It's in his blood that he has promoted.
There's no way in hell he's missing that Netflix premiere either.
No. He's gonna be there for Netflix. He's more than likely gonna be there for Mania. And I'm just gonna throw out a prediction right now because it's in Vegas and there's a certain rattlesnake that's around Nevada and all that. Special guest referee, anyone? Just gonna throw that out there.
That is true. That's a good choice.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm tired. I'm done. I'm done talking about the WWE title picture. Excuse me.
Yeah, we'll get more into that tomorrow.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun match. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, dude. I was mentioning this to Vash earlier in some DMs. I'm just like, wait. I just realized I've never gotten a chance yet to experience Cody Rhodes' entrance in person.
I have 3 times now.
That's got me very excited right now because I'm like, I get to whoa with everybody. I get to sing with everybody.
Yeah, Chad.
Great.
Quick plug: if you're there at Saturday night main event, and if you're watching this as a VOD, hopefully you guys enjoyed it because me and Watkins were there. But if you're watching this before the event, we will be there. So if you see us, say hello to us. We won't bite. We will take a picture and say hello.
Exactly. Well, I might bite. Who knows? I might get a little hungry out there. But I'll tell you who was hungry. Carmelo Hayes. He was hungry for some competition tonight. He wanted to get the biggest, the baddest, the meanest, the sickest competition that Nick Aldis could get him.
And he
Nick
put the
Aldis
fries
delivered.
in the bag.
Oh yeah, Nick Aldis delivered by a returning Braun Strowman coming out to basically squash Carmelo Hayes. I mean, I have thoughts about this squash match, but I kind of want to hear from you guys first about this. Just first of all, I guess like your reaction to Braun Strowman coming out, and I guess how you feel about Carmelo Hayes getting squashed here.
So when it comes to my personal thoughts on this, like I'm just gonna be like 100% honest. I'll just come out and say this at first. I do realize that throughout the week, a lot of people were trying to speculate who Carmelo Hayes' opponent was going to be because they left it as a mystery. A lot of people were thinking, oh, is it a call up from NXT because they saw how things played out with Ethan Page on Tuesday? Really wouldn't make sense heel versus heel. I don't really get that. People were saying Trick. I mean, Trick's in a program. He's about to start a program over Femi. That doesn't really make any sense. People are saying it was Penta. I don't really think that's going to come into picture until 2025. More than likely, he might be at like the Royal Rumble or something along the lines of that. He's definitely, reports were saying that they are going to sign him. I mean, and that is the destination that he said he wanted to be in. So it's like, I wasn't really thinking over the top when it came to people like that. But I will say with this whole Braun Strowman thing, is it good that Braun Strowman's back? Of course, because it's always nice to see people on the screen again, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that it blew my mind, and I'm like, oh my god, Braun Strowman's back. I'm going to start waving my arms in the air and going crazy. I mean, this didn't really do much for me, if I'm being perfectly honest, and I don't want to come on here and just pretend. I mean, nothing against the both of them. It just didn't really do anything with me. And I'm not upset with the result because we've seen this David and Goliath story play out so many times. They go back and forth. One gets a win. I wouldn't be surprised if Braun Strowman's in a match or whatever, and Carmelo Hayes tries to screw him over or something like that, and then they have a match and then Carmelo wins, because that's the usual structure that they do with these kind of stories. So I'm not really upset when it comes to that sort of thing. My main thing with Carmelo Hayes, just to be a critic on Carmelo Hayes when it comes to his involvement on the main roster, I'm not saying he needs to get the exact same push as Braun Breaker right now, where he needs to have a title around his waist to mean something. I just mainly want Carmelo Hayes in a meaningful feud that actually benefits him, that actually makes him feel special, that actually has eyes on him, because he's not involved in the US picture anymore. He separated himself with that. Otherwise, he would have came out last week with LA Knight and Andrade. He wasn't there. I just want him to go down a proper direction so we know Carmelo Hayes' game plan, because a lot of people were excited to see him on the main roster. A lot of people wanted to see exactly what Carmelo Hayes is going to bring to the table. I don't necessarily think this is a feud that's going to catapult him to something that's going to be out of this world. I just want to see something where it's like, okay, Carmelo Hayes, because a lot of people were saying, including me myself, that this guy right here has the potential to be one of those key players in the future. You got to give us a reason to invest stock in that. With Braun Breaker, there's stock there. We invested stock into Braun Breaker. We know he's going to be achieving all of these great things. For an example, he has the Intercontinental title around his waist. After that, he'll move on to the world title picture. Carmelo Hayes needs some sort of treatment, because I hate to say it, but I'm not really the biggest fan when it comes to Carmelo Hayes booking, when it comes to how he's being presented. And I understand it's the whole wait and see thing, and you could only say that for so long, because you could have easily did something along the lines of that with the whole US title picture. You could have extended that even long, but now he's out. And I don't really think a Braun Strowman thing with the program be cool. David Goliath, sure, but I'm not really convinced that that's gonna really do anything because I've seen it so much. You eventually move on from it, and then it's like, okay, what do we do from here? That's why I feel like with that whole tease that we got with the whole transfer portal, I just feel like personally, if you want to do a little thing with him and Braun Strowman, and then after that move him on to Monday Night Raw, I feel like that's the best thing for him because at least it's a new environment for him to explore. I can actually see a world where he actually has the potential to win an Intercontinental title, or if Cody Rhodes comes down there, let's say he drops it down the line, we don't know who the champion is around that time, I could eventually see him getting that WWE title. Definitely needs a new environment. Even though he hasn't been on SmackDown for so long, he definitely needs a new environment.
Yeah. No, and I get most of those criticisms, all that. Vash, what about you? How'd you feel about all of this?
I feel not saying the opposite towards drop, but more like with Carmelo Hayes booking, it's not as crazy has been booked. Like to me, I like what he's been doing with Andrade. We still need the rematch of Game 6, right? I believe is the rematch of Game 6 or was it Game 7?
Yeah,
Game 7.
I wouldn't even know if that's going to be a thing because they.
Yeah, so they kind of brushed that off. So like those things is what I miss. Carmelo, the last time we saw him before this was he had a program with Cody backstage, and we had the guy that disappeared off the map, Giovanni Vinci. So when he comes with this aspect, hanging out with Giovanni, do you spectate to think that Carmelo is falling off? No. In my head, it's just that right now there is a lot of cooks in the kitchen and a lot of players that need to, you need to balance the time. So Carmelo, I'm hoping that he gets his extra push in 2025 in the start and get him back in the U.S. picture, or he gets transferred in Raw. Because one thing I'm very excited about with this long past year, because we kind of had a shitty type of Royal Rumble of the men's and women's of who has their songs, the pop and all that. Now that we have built so many stars and stars that are going to be popping up in the Royal Rumble, very excited to see what Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, and these other superstars could do. When it comes to Braun Strowman, was I excited about this mysterious person? No, because I knew the person that was being on the timeline, that the luchador person from AEW, I forgot.
Penta.
Penta.
If he was a mysterious person, that'd be fucking awesome.
You got a fire.
But I knew it wasn't. Exactly, we would have had a fire match. But once Braun Strowman came out, was funny. I didn't know until I got a notification from Weebs of the Ring saying Braun Strowman until I saw it on the actual show, because it showed that I'm like 20 seconds behind or some shit because I'm watching it on the site. So once I saw notification, and then I'm like, oh, so that's the mystery opponent. Then 20 seconds later, Braun Strowman comes out. Like, oh, so it was him. Oh, pretty cool. Both times, it didn't get me hype or upset. It just got me like, cool, it's him.
Oh, I didn't put any of that on the stream. I didn't put any of that on the stream.
No, it was the notification on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
I had that ready in the drafts because I saw some reports saying, oh, Braun Strowman's gonna be coming back on SmackDown. I'm like, oh, so that's gonna be Carmelo Hayes' opponent. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't see no leaks.
Draft ready.
Smart move.
Like, let me get a draft ready of Broly just being like, because I mean, when you hear that music go Braun, who else can you think of but Broly powering up?
And by the way, I think of the version of the Broly of Super, because that's the one I prefer and like is much better.
That's but my last one with the brain.
Exactly. But my last thoughts about this is honestly, to keep it short, is that this was a squash match. It was funny. I love Braun Strowman. He's great to have on screen. I'm glad that he wasn't doing his stupid shit around the ring. The fucking not the stampede. What's the thing he does?
He does the Vash stampede around the ring.
Yeah.
Talks about
he don't do
the Braun Stampede.
The Braun Stampede, yeah, that would be a better preferred name. The Braun Stampede will actually be a fun little tagline. Hey, Triple H, go take that. I give you permission. The Braun Stampede. that'd be a fun one. But I'm just curious to know what happens after this, because like Braun Strowman, you gonna SmackDown? Are you gonna go to the US picture? Are you gonna fight for Nakamura? Like, what is your purpose? Because it sucks
That's
that when we have these type of big men as opponents, I feel like sometimes Triple H or right now the people don't know what to do with them. Cause like as a person that I always bring up, we haven't seen Omos in fucking months or years, so like we only see him at the Royal Rumble or whenever there's like tours going on. So like whenever we have these big characters, we don't really do much with them other than squash matches. So it just sucks in that type of department that I enjoy Braun Strowman, but we're not going to see much of him in story or depending on if there is like a title picture for him.
That's why it looks like as for the time that's why I'm saying with this whole thing with Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, it might potentially, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's sort of feeling like it, but maybe this is like a little program until the end of the year, until Carmelo Hayes potentially moves to Monday Night Raw. Because you got to think about it like this too. Carmelo Hayes might get fed up after a while saying like, why am I getting involved at Braun? Why am I doing this or that? Why am I not back to where I was before? Like all this stuff getting thrown at him might chase him away for wanting to be on the SmackDown brand. And maybe that potentially leads to Carmelo Hayes to be like, you know what, fuck SmackDown, I'm going to go to Raw. Because he did say, Monday Night Mello has a nice ring to it, which it does, and I initially wanted him to go to Monday Night Raw to begin with. So it's like...
And, honestly, I see Carmelo as a Raw person. I see him as a Raw person, like style, the aggressiveness, the, like the no filter, the cockiness type of style. He's not the professional type of like SmackDown or like, the house built by AJ Styles. Like, he doesn't give me that. Like, Carmelo gives me more of the Raw style.
Yeah, Monday Night Mello has that's like you can make easy merch out of that. Like Monday Night Rollins, we already know that makes a lot of money. Imagine Monday Night Rollins against Monday Night Mello. I mean, that's a pretty good.
Seth
program.
Rollins versus Carmelo. Yes, that'd be a hype.
They teased it in NXT because back then when
Yes, I remember they did.
Yeah, because back then when Carmelo Hayes was NXT champion, he was still a face at the time. And Seth Rollins had the World Heavyweight Championship. This was earlier this year, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it could have been last year.
So. No, it was last year.
Oh, okay.
It was last
year.
They
had a segment with them looking at each other, and then Carmelo Hayes was eyeing his title. So it's like you could potentially get a program out of them in the near future. And I feel like there's a lot of people you could work with. Like think of like a Carmelo Hayes and Seth Rollins, Carmelo Hayes and CM Punk. If Cody goes down, then you could run an actual storyline with Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, Carmelo and Ludwig Kaiser. Shit.
Carmelo and Kaiser. There's just a lot of things you could choose from, which I would
got options.
Love. Yeah.
So the only thing I want to kind of throw in there, just like, because like, I do get the criticisms with like, Carmelo Hayes' booking, because like, I could see that. It's just like, okay, we want him to be more, because like in NXT he was awesome. He was great. He was like basically top dog and all that. And just gonna throw out my little how I am envisioning him, because like the difference with like him with a slow burn compared to like, oh, let's wait and see with. I know we keep bringing him up, but like, oh, let's wait and see with Giovanni Vinci and all that. The difference between the two is I know what they can do with Carmelo Hayes. I've seen it in NXT, like with the stuff I saw in NXT. And with Carmelo, he was a big fish in a little pond when it came to NXT. Now he's a little fish in an ocean. And he's been realizing that ever since being on the main roster. And I think that's going to be part of his growth as a character and as, a star on the main roster. Because, like, the biggest comparison with Carmelo Hayes is Braun Breaker because, again, of their banger feud that they had in NXT. And, like, when you compare the two right now, Braun's had a lot of quick success when he's been on the main roster. Like, what was it? Just a couple months into his run, and he's already IC champion.
Yeah,
Like that's crazy. Like you don't see a lot of Rockets being strapped like that. Whereas with Carmelo, he's been struggling a lot. Like, yeah, he had a couple matches with Cody, lost both of those, had a loss to Randy Orton as well, had loss after loss after loss after loss, like a couple of opportunities for the US title, lost all those, and it's just like, okay, Carmelo is slowly realizing he's really not him. He's really not, but he has to figure out how he can be him. And I think tonight, with this squash match, was a good insight and a good look into Carmelo Hayes, mainly as a character, and mainly how he can be built up as him. So follow me in this thread on the podcast as I dive deeper into this. But I think it's mainly how he dealt with Braun. Because, like, yeah, he was surprised. He was taken aback. He was worried. He was, a little bit of him was scared. Because it's just like, hey, I don't want to face Braun Strowman. I don't want to face this giant monster that's going to murder me and all that. No, I don't want to do this. But, like, he wasn't running around like he was too scared, because he still stood up to Braun. Like, he still was dodging his attacks. He was still, like, hitting him. He was using his brain. Like, and I think the best part of, like, the best example of that part is when he was trying to go for that DDT, where he, like, runs to the ropes and he kind of springboards off the middle rope and then goes back and, like, tries to do a stunner or a DDT or whatever. He tried it first and it did nothing to Braun. He just kind of comically, he just bumped into a wall and just fell to the ground. And then what he ended up doing after that was he's just like, all right, let me kind of work from the base up and all that. So, like, okay, let me take out his legs after, you know, Braun's kind of taking himself out on the turnbuckle, because, hey, I'm a fast boy, I can just dodge him. So it's just like, okay, let me dodge this, then let me take out his legs, and then let me do this awesome DDT move, which, hey, it worked kind of. I mean, yeah, he got a one count from it, but it's still something. But so I think this was just a good look at Carmelo Hayes, and again, he's gonna realize what he needs to do to be him, and I do have faith in the company with his slow build compared to a lot of others. Now, I say that, but also one negative to Triple H's booking has oftentimes been the slow build, because sometimes
too slow.
Sometimes he just lets it simmer a little too long, and it's just like, okay, dude, I don't want my food to be too burnt, so if you can get this off the cooker soon, that'd be great. That'd be swell.
I just want to say this last pop culture reference that literally popped in my head while you was giving this type of character of Carmelo. For some reason, go along with me. Take this as you will. I haven't thought too much on this reference, but I just want to get it off my head, and then we can move on. Giovanni Vinci could be any of the bad Sony films that got canceled in this universe. It could be Madam Web, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, and
Giovanni Vinci.
Carmelo Hayes
better than all those.
is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and right now, Braun Strowman is the Rhino. That's all I'm gonna say.
Drop. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can handle. Can you turn into the angel instead? Can you be the angel instead?
Like I said, Chad, you could analyze this as you will. It probably makes no sense, but that's why I felt like it, because nobody remembers Giovanni Vinci. So that's Madam Web, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter. Nobody will remember those films. It's because those movies, the universe got canceled from Sony. And then Carmelo is one of the best. He's Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man, and like you said, he's taking down the legs and going to the chest of Braun Strowman. He's like the Rhino. You got first take down the legs. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and then go to the top. And that's what it sounded like to me. So take the reference as you will. If not, we can move on.
Drop, can you please become the angel in this scenario? Why
I want to, but my soul's fighting it.
Like I said, it got out of my head. We can move on. I said what I said.
Look, Oh, I'm glad you know what? I'm glad you brought up the great cinema known as Madam Web. Because then I could say, hey, you know what's a better movie than that? The
I'm
whole
about to say.
Bloodline saga. Like,
Oh my god, when Drops told
got-
us in the chat that, oh, people complaining that this is overproduction, like you're telling me that you guys want us to see trash shit from what we got from what my team tells me 2019 year of content WWE? No, I'd rather see this well overproduced content of why is Roman Reigns speaking to us in a fucking damn boat yacht? I don't know, but Paul Heyman is just in the background, just like this, like, yes, speak my trouble, chief.
No, it makes
he's gonna become king of the pirates. So
it makes sense why things were done this way. I mean, it's not like it happens all the time. It happens when it's needed. Because I could understand if we saw it like every single week, like, okay, maybe you should save that when it matters most. Like if you're trying, like the Cody and Roman thing, or the Punk and Roman thing, you know, things along the lines of that. If you want to set it for like a certain moment and make it feel special. So if it pops out of the blue one day, let's say 2 or 3 months pass by and then we get something like this, okay, this is pretty cool. I personally don't have any issues with it because, one, you're building to a program of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa at the January 6th Netflix premiere. That's kind of needed, and also it just shows you that this is something that should be treated special. That's why I don't mind it. That's why, like, one of my biggest issues when it comes to the IWC is like the littlest complaints where you just make a complaint about something for no reason. It's like you mentioned, like, let's say hypothetically, Michael Cole just makes a reference to Taylor Swift on there. Just because Michael Cole makes a reference to Taylor Swift for like a minute,
the Swifties would be going crazy.
If he makes like a comment for like a second, not even saying anything towards Taylor Swift, just saying her name, you'll have people in the IWC be like, "Why did Michael Cole mention Taylor Swift? Why is he saying this? Why is he saying that?" It's like, if your mom told you, "Oh, hey, you forgot to flush," you're gonna throw a bitch fit over there. You're gonna flush the fucking toilet because I'm
gonna bitch about it. I don't want to flush the toilet, Mom.
Because it's like half the complaints that's coming out of that, just throw it in that toilet and flush it because it just makes no sense. That's why it's like, I didn't like, obviously everybody's different. If they feel that way, cool. But it's like, to me personally, I didn't have any issues with it because it just makes sense given the overall presentation and just looking at the feud that Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa have. And also this is a big moment for Roman because when does he ever wrestle on television besides PLEs? So you obviously want the moment to feel special as well. And I'm glad this match is also taking and I'm glad this match is also taking place on the Netflix premiere as well, because at least this eliminates Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. So at least that opens up the door for a potential Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania, or Roman Reigns and The Rock happening at WrestleMania. At least you wrap up that chapter, and then you can move on to the next, because we know The Rock's going to be at the show. You never know. Things might evolve from that chapter.
Oh, yes.
Because more than likely, I see Roman Reigns getting that. Honestly, you know what makes the most sense? And obviously, we know they're going to knock it out of the park when it comes to this Netflix premiere. I wouldn't be surprised to get like 4 million views out of that one show alone, just based on everything that they're throwing at it, especially with all this rumored stuff, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest, because remember what Solo Sikoa said all those years, a couple months ago, when you lose, there's consequences. When Roman Reigns has the Ulafala around his neck again, you have to acknowledge him as the tribal chief. He said that to Tama Tonga and everybody else around him. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest after Roman Reigns gets that back. You know, you get a Rock involvement. Maybe you have the new bloodline turning on Solo. Instead of "I love you, Solo," you get "I hate you, Solo." You get all that stuff thrown in there in one setting. It just helps create. It just helps evolve the story from there when it comes to all of these characters at once. So it's like, I'm honestly like happy that we're getting something like this on here.
Yeah, Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm glad we're gonna hopefully get it out of the way for
Yeah.
Mania. So we can, again, like you said, move into something a little deeper than Roman versus Solo. Nothing to really take too much away from Solo, but I'm glad we're in the same mindset too when it comes like to this Netflix show and the tribal combat match that we're about to get, because I kind of had that thought today as well, like just coming home, like, we could easily have, because we'll eventually have to have Solo's redemption and all of this, because like again, he's justified in his actions, blah blah blah, whatever. But there's gonna come a time where those losses, those consequences are gonna be coming, and they're gonna be coming from the High Chief, and they might be coming at the Netflix premiere. Because here's the other thing too that we keep forgetting: Hikuleo
Mm-hmm.
and Zillafatu,
Yep.
both technically still part of the company. They haven't premiered yet, and I know that's just like, oh, throwing more Bloodline members and all that, but with Solo losing again, possibly, and The Rock being on the show, and I'm glad you said something about the new Bloodline turning on Solo. That could be part of it right there, and like,
And they go at
And
Rock.
and also, if I may add, Wazula
mhm,
Fatu, he got into, I think, this week or last week, and got asked that whose bloodline he would choose. He said that he would choose Roman Reigns for personal reasons, but he said that he has a beef with Solo for taking the move
Just
of Zula Fatu's father. So
mhm,
that's interesting already, that even by the time Zilla Fatu approaches to the main roster, he already has beef with Solo, if that happens already next
mhm.
year, for us to continue that storyline when the time comes.
Yeah. And like, I mean, again, the new bloodline just taking over in a whole different other aspect, because like you could have like your Jacob Fatu end up being the tribal chief and all that stuff, or you could have it could be Hikuleo. I mean, I don't know how his promo work is, but maybe he was like a new tribal chief that Rock just appoints at that point, like there's many avenues you can go down this route. And I'm not saying that, oh, we have to rush the Solo Fatu, not Solo Fatu, the Solo Sokoa redemption arc and all that. But I think mainly why I'm sticking with that is because in this like video package, this quote unquote overproduced video package, which I'm sorry, if you're complaining about that now in the God's given year of 2024, after we've had about 4 years of all this, you're complaining now about it. Okay, fine, whatever. But like, this gave me just a little bit more, just a little hint about why, like the whole why bring Roman back to power, because he had mentioned in this promo that he did not steal that Ulafala. He did
He
not
earned
steal
it.
the title
Yep.
of tribal chief.
Yeah, he
Not
earned
only
it.
did he earn it, but he was gifted it by his father and basically the higher chiefs, the grand chiefs, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
like Grand Kais or whatever. Like, they gave him the title. They trusted him with the family, with being the breadwinner, being the person that is reigning on top, the one to lead everybody. Now, did that power kind of corrupt Roman? Yes, in the same similar way that it's corrupting Solo. But like with that little video segment there, it gave me a little bit of what I wanted. It just the why Roman should be in power, because he was the one entrusted with all this. He was the one for the family that the family needed, the one the family deserved to have. And with Solo in charge, the family's not really doing too hot now, is it? Like, the family, like, what? They're now inserting themselves into the U.S. title picture? Like, are we seriously going down that route? I don't think so. I don't think so, good old buddy. Nah, the Bloodline deserve to be in the main event, because that's where you make the money. That's how you earn the big dollars for your family. That's how you put the food on the table, by being the top champions, by being the top singles champion, by being the top tag champions, by being the ones that run the show. And you can't run the show with the mid-card title. You can't run the show by continuing to lose. And you can't help the family. You can't be on top of the family. You can't lead the family without being able to lead an entire company. And Solo's learning that, and Roman knows that it is his duty for his family to be on top. So it's more of just a family aspect. Now, there's still a lot more work to be done, but this is a good start, at least for me, for why we should have Roman back in power. But
that's something that I'm really happy that you brought up, because I'm glad that we're all on the same page as well. That Drop brought up early that I didn't realize, because it's been so long, that's the first time we're getting Roman Reigns to fight on a regular Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Like, that's something that we have not gotten in so long, and it kind of threw me off once Drop said it. Like, shit, it's been like who knows how long the last time Roman fought on a regular tape show, like on a regular TV. Like, who knows when was the last time. So it's really nice to see that. And you guys brought up a great point that we're saving that for WrestleMania. Instead, we brought it for the Raw on Netflix. And to know the rumors that The Rock, John Cena, and these other superstars will be there, The Rock is a big thing. That knowing that this fight of tribal combat for the Ula Fala and The Rock will be there, that will definitely, anything can happen 100%. We already had the 1, the 2, and the 3, and the 9th, and then walk away. Hey, there's still more to find out. We still need to find out what Cody was gifted from The Rock. And no, it wasn't the Moana tickets too. So I'm really curious to see what it will. I know. I'm really curious to see how everything will come full circle, because what it can lead up to. Because we know one line that I'm gonna repeat that was said in this promo package from Roman Reigns. He said, "Once I beat you, Solo, the whole world will have no choice but to acknowledge me." And I love that line, because you know why? Because Netflix is in 160 countries, I believe. That's out of 172 countries worldwide. That means only 12 countries don't got Netflix. So when this man Roman Reigns literally said that the whole world have no choice but to acknowledge me, I'm like, shit, he got a point. Because the whole fucking world will actually have access to this. Literally, to be acknowledging this man with the finger, I'll be like, yeah, Roman, we acknowledge you. You are the tribal chief once again with the Ula Fala. Technically, what LA says is the Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, which LA Knight actually poked fun at people online when it came to that, because as you guys were talking, I was just scrolling through my Twitter feed, and he was like, "Ula Fala, Ufa Lafa, Oompa Loompa, don't matter, it's my game." There's a lot of people like calling him out just because he pronounced it that way. And if you haven't known,
that's the point.
Not only that, but if you haven't known LA Knight at this point, that's just how his character is. That's pretty much, it was done by design. I don't understand why you're complaining about that. Just it goes like the same thing too. It's like people go on people's videos. Oh, you said this you didn't say the word the right way that I wanted it to sound like, and they write a little complaint in the comments or whatever. I mean, go cry me a river, all that kind of stuff. Just stupid,
real glass.
Just stupid shit like that. But one of the things I am hoping to do at Roman Reigns, and hopefully this plays into a part of like Roman's road to WrestleMania and everything along the lines of that. I am hoping that Roman actually acknowledges his past mistakes when it came to his treatment with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn and all of them. Because it's like, you can't just have Roman Reigns enter this next chapter of whoever he's feuding with the next and not go back to that and acknowledge it, especially when it comes to his relationship between him and Jey. I mean, you can't just have, because Roman's honestly been the exact same character ever since he lost the title. When it comes to his personality wise, he's been very he's just been full of himself. He only wanted people there to help him in this fight. Sure, he gave him a hug here and there, whatever, but you still have to address that whole entire apology when it comes to him and Jay. You can't just leave that as a plot hole, because that's something that you have to acknowledge when you grow as a character. You can't just say, oh, well, they're getting along now, that's fine. No, you brought it up in a promo. Jay made it very apparent. Yeah, things may look all cool now, but it's like you still have to address that. And then that's the thing. Once Roman gets that Ula Fala back, Roman should have some sort of reflection, or Paul Heyman says something to him, so you could at least address that before you move on to this next evolution of Roman Reigns, because that's only going to help Roman Reigns grow more as a character when you establish that, because he goes from being like this person, like, did he earn the role as tribal chief? Yes, but he also needs to learn how to admit when you made mistakes in the past. You can grow as a person. That's the whole point of being a leader, as well as acknowledging your faults and growing from it.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want him to have it yet, because like,
seems like it's too easy.
I want him to learn. Yeah. Thank you. It seems like it's way too easy for him to just get that power back and just to like go back to normal and all that. It's just like, well, no, you can't really go back to normal. You really shouldn't go back to normal at this point, because what did you even learn from all this? Oh, honestly, I can just get what I want. It's like, well, yeah, I guess so. Being the tribal chief and all that, but like, no, that's not what makes a true leader. That's not what makes a good leader. You know, I mean, look at your following right now. Like, Jimmy's injured right now, so you really don't have anybody besides Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
Sammy and Jay basically went back to Raw and are now having to deal with Drew McIntyre. Which, I mean, if we keep Drew McIntyre on Raw and Roman goes to Raw, like, there's a feud right there that you could like kind of dive into with like all this apology.
You can even
shit,
do that at Saturday Night's Main Event in January. What up? Like,
yes,
but it's like now that you're bringing that up, though, it's honestly making me think that he shouldn't win this match on January 6th.
He should.
Especially, I was gonna tell you that my theory is that he won't win.
Yeah, because especially if it's like the tribal combat where anything goes. Obviously, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga and whoever else
not staying back there.
Yeah, they're not going to stay back there. So it's like it's not like a shoe in for Roman to just win that match, because it's like whenever you have Bloodline rules, tribal combat, wherever the case may be, a whole bunch of shenanigans take place. And especially with what we recently discussed, it just doesn't make sense for Roman to like go over that easy. It's like, okay, we're gonna have this big match on January 6th, and I'm gonna win. I'm like, okay, because now that I'm thinking about that, it's like, why doesn't it make sense for him to win? Because what we discussed, and also if he were to win, where the hell does Solo Sikoa go? Because let's say hypothetically they kick him out of that new Bloodline, where the fuck is he going now? He's just getting brushed to the side. And then you're going to want to build a whole redemption story with him that really doesn't make sense to do at that moment. So it's like, with him losing, it just adds more layers, especially if Rock inserts him in there, because we all know at this point that Rock's the puppeteer behind everything. And I would be surprised if he doesn't take part in that tribal combat match.
And The Rock is the biggest linchpin in all of this.
Another justifiable heel.
That too, yeah. And it's like, even if Roman does win the match, he's not walking out as tribal chief. You know, just because The Rock is there.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing. Like that's why I made the comment about the whole like Solo, you know, losing that prestige, that title, if you will, of being tribal chief, because like, and that's why I tried to mention like other people coming in, mainly because there's kind of some holes we got to fill. I mean, Tonga Loa alone needs about 5 guys to fill. You know, like you need at least 5 more Samoans to fill the void that Tonga Loa is going to be leaving behind.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say, The Rock is going to be a big a big tide to change where everything could fall over. If Roman wins, where could it go with The Rock? And one thing that I'm happy that Roman brought up in this promo package that involves, he kept mentioning his uncle, he kept mentioning his father that gave him the Ula Fala, and he kept mentioning that he earned it and he has a responsibility. But then
Mhm.
he keeps talking about what you guys brought up, that Roman hasn't yet apologized to Jay and his family there for his actions. But at the end of the day, I don't think Roman still won't apologize yet, because not saying that he's a tweener, but his character is still believes in the egotistic side, that he is the one that has to do everything himself. It's like, he like Thanos. He believes that nobody else could do it, no matter what his actions are right. That he literally has to protect his family, even if it hurting them in the long run. If it has to be that you're on top to be the breadwinner, to be the champion hitter, to be the tribal chief, you had to do whatever it takes. So I feel like, depending on where they continue with Roman character, I would not be shocked if they don't actually have him apologize. I will understand where it's coming
Mhm.
from, because it's more by the egotistic side of where, like, hey, it happened what it happened. Let's move on, because this is what I had to do at the time. I may be a different person now, but I don't care about that now. I've moved on. You should too. I did apologize back then. If you don't want to take it seriously, all right, that's up to you. But I'm have already moved on, and that's, to me, depending on where Roman character goes, I feel like that's also a route that they could lead with.
Yeah.
I mean that's basically gonna isolate him though. Like talking like that, like people are just gonna be like, "Oh, okay, you're not gonna apologize. You're just gonna okay, have fun doing everything yourself." Because like at that point, you can't really do everything yourself. You know, like and I just want them to just tell a story that gives Roman the redemption that he needs and the redemption that his character deserves, you know, and it
Mm-hmm.
just I don't want somebody who wants to claim that they're a leader. Somebody who is okay, this is again with the One Piece reference. This is basically like Kaido getting back into power. Do you really want Kaido back in power in Wano? Do you really want those smokestacks back up there? Like, oh yeah, it's great for the economy of Wano. It's just like, okay, but at what cost? At the cost of people getting poisoned by fake devil fruits, making them laugh constantly, even though they are sad and pained inside. You know,
Yeah.
you have constant droughts, you have constant poisoned water, starvation. Only like if you only have to be in the flower capital to even like survive. So it's just like you really want to go back to that? You really want WWE to go back to that? You know, like I know that's kind of a drastic, kind of way to look at it, but like that's just kind of
Yeah.
how I've been picturing it. It's just like, do you really want WWE to get back to that? Do you really want Roman to be back on top to the point where he ends up facing the other world champion, merging the titles again, and we have only one top champion again for about 4 or 5 years, basically holding a monopoly on the thing, cheating every match to win. Like, do we really want to go back to that? You know, and
Yeah.
that's why we
No.
have our heels like
Yeah.
KO and Drew that are like, yeah, no,
S-
what are you guys
mm,
doing? Why
s-
are you guys doing this? This is dumb. Do you guys not
Yeah.
remember the past 4 years?
It's
Like,
it's
jeez,
what's
like
speaking
it's them though. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Drew McIntyre, he actually made a
Mm-hmm.
appearance on tonight's show. And one of the things I really like about Drew McIntyre, like we spoke about before with Kevin Owens, is that he has a reason behind his actions. And obviously, this plays into the whole story when it came to that Clash of the Castle thing, his history with the Bloodline as a whole. And obviously, the
Yeah.
people that he goes after, it makes sense why he's targeting all these people because he targeted Jay, he targeted Sami Zayn. They have a match tomorrow. Actually, technically, they have a match
Mm-hmm.
later on today. And then you have
Oh yeah.
then you have him attack Jimmy on tonight's show. Which one thing I do want to point out is Naomi did it. Drew was right there with Naomi, and it's kind of funny how she didn't really acknowledge. oh, my
Yeah.
husband got hurt.
Yeah.
I just found that completely hilarious. But again, she's a heel now. So she probably doesn't give a shit. But it's like, but it's like with like Drew McIntyre, like because there's a current rumor right now that's saying the OG Bloodline might be moving to Raw. So that means Roman, Jay, Sam, well, Jay and Sammy's there. Just basically like Roman and Jimmy are heading down there. So, and then you never know if like possibly down the line. I mean, I would assume he would probably go after Solo too, because actually no, that actually makes the most sense because Solo's the reason why he lost that title at Clash of the Castle like 2 years ago in 2022. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he goes on there too. That's why a lot of me and you spoke about this too, Watkins, about Drew McIntyre's status when it comes to what show makes the most sense for him to be on, especially when it came to him and Punk being on the same brand. I don't know, especially when it comes to like shifting certain superstars on certain shows. Maybe there's a chance he goes on SmackDown, but I'm not entirely sure. He could be another one where Netflix is greedy about and wanted to keep him on the same show. But it's like we did see him targeted Jimmy, so that begs the question. It's like, okay, is all of this done by design? Because I still feel it in my soul that Seth Rollins and him and potentially KO down the line, if they decide to go down this direction, where this might be a faction that's like against the Bloodline and everybody else that took part in it as well, because everything stems down to Roman when it comes to how KO feels now, when it comes to how Drew feels, when it comes to how Seth feels. It all comes down to Roman. Roman's pretty much, quite honestly, the reason why all these different kinds of storylines are happening right now. Even though he's not involved in certain ones, he's pretty much the main thing that sprouted all these different kinds of things that's going on. And Drew McIntyre, we still don't even know what him and Nick Aldis discussed inside the office. So it's like it's very interesting to see like what Drew McIntyre is doing. Like he's doing it for a reason. We obviously understand it. He doesn't have to explain it to us. But what are you guys' thoughts on like, just Drew McIntyre like as a whole now when it comes to his like this next adventure that Drew McIntyre is going on now that he's not specifically feuding with CM Punk now, but he's targeting certain people that's in his radar?
Well, one thing I would love to acknowledge, our boy Big Jim. He opened the show Friday Night SmackDown, and he announced to us that big plans are coming. Yeah, it was a bit awkward. I would say that as much as I was very supportive to Jim, it wasn't awkward the whole segment, but like by the end, it felt to get a bit stagnant. Not pop for the crowd for the end, for the note ye. But I'm glad for Jimmy that he's in a positive mindset, that there's big plans for 2025. And honestly, I will tell you this. I did not expect for that Claymore at the end. I did not expect that Claymore shocked the living shit out of me.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see much of the promo, except for him constantly calling himself Big Jim, which I guess he's going to be getting that over. I guess. I don't know. Big Jim, cool, neat, awesome. Hey, it at least differentiates himself. Something that he should have done like since him and Jay broke apart. But whatever. I saw this mainly as just him talking to the fans before he, fucks off for a bit with his broken toe and all that. And hey, what a better way to write him off too than having Drew McIntyre coming out, claymoring him and saying, "All right, see ya." See you, buddy. Have fun healing at home. Oh, man. But all this kind of led to a match with Solo Sikoa and LA Knight. Now, we had a backstage interview with LA Knight with Byron Saxton, basically saying, hey, I don't give a crap about the Bloodline, but they want to mess with me, so fine. I'll mess around with you guys because I'm only worried about gold. I'm only worried about, my own career, and I have no love for your whole family except for you, Jay. You're cool. You're all right. Yeah, eat all that stuff. And of course, he does this whole thing about the oofalafa and all that, which kind of funny. Like that's something him calling it the Oofalaffa reminded me so much of The Rock from back in the day, where he would just be like, "Oh yeah, you care about your Oofala, you more like your Oofalaffa," like just something like that. It's very old school in the way that he was making fun of it.
Right back.
The match itself, at least to me, it was fine. I mean, they were kind of evenly matched throughout the whole match,
I'll be right back.
it wasn't until like a bunch of distractions from the Bloodline that Solo took advantage. And I mean, LA Knight tried to get the Bloodline taken out. That ends in a DQ finish, and the Bloodline just standing tall after destroying LA Knight. And I mean, Apollo and Andrade tried to help out. Didn't really work out too well for them either. So yeah, the whole mid card just tries to take over and try to take out the Bloodline, but to no avail at all. So how'd you guys feel about, I guess, the match, the segment, the beatdown? How'd you guys feel about this whole like overarching thing? Because I do have thoughts, especially when it comes to a group trying to take over and all that. Like I got some thoughts, but let me hear from you guys first.
Oh, are we talking about the backstage still, or the fight, or overall
You
the
can
segment
start with
itself?
the backstage, yeah.
I love how LA Knight continues to improve in the backstage. Like his promo always gets better. I feel like there's always the timing, the pacing, always very solid. Even the jokes about the Ufa Vlafa or the Oompa Loompa, all those jokes really hit for me. Like him just stating the one thing obvious, because him saying like, you know what? People asked me to join the War Games. I said no. I don't care about some red thing, Oompa Loompa, Oompa Lampa. I care about gold. And it's understandable. As any wrestler, I believe Cody Rhodes said this in an interview. I believe in any wrestler, you should be ambitious enough to go for the gold, go for the prize, go for the main title, be the face of the company. But when it comes to Solo, he was being nosy in a mid-card U.S. title match, and that kind of threw me off. Still has thrown me off to understand that he's willing to have that U.S. title enter screen. It like really Solo. There's more what deserved for you, and I will say when it comes to the ending of the match, we'll talk about it in a moment. But for the match itself, when it comes to Solo versus LA Knight, yeah, the match was good, simple, straightforward. To me, LA Knight is entertaining to be, and I'm glad there was no winner. I'm glad there was a DQ.
Yeah, because like that's the thing, especially putting LA Knight in this position. This position, because like yeah, he just lost his U.S. title, but he really shouldn't lose another match like this.
Exactly.
I'm wondering if they kind of did a beatdown segment like this to maybe give him some time off. But I mean, again, they're taping next week's SmackDown, so it's not like they're not getting time off anytime soon. But I mean, he'll probably sell some of those injuries for a bit because yeah, they Jacob Fatu did not let up. He was headbutting him and doing the hip attacks and all that. Like he was laying into LA Knight pretty hard. And I mean, Apollo and Andrade, again, they tried to help, but they didn't really do much of anything. And the reason I said, oh, this is how like you build up a group trying to take over. So like, I'm gonna kind of compare this with AEW with their whole what do they call it again? I think Death Riders. We'll just say Death Riders right now, because like I can see what they're trying to do with that story to an extent. The downside to it, though, is this is one of the few times you'll hear the opposite with these two ideas. AEW, with their stuff with the Death Riders and all that, they let that go on way too long. Like the beatdown segments, and like most of the segments they have in general with the deal with the Death Riders and all that. Like it lingers too long. They do way too much to get the point across. Whereas here with WWE and with the Bloodline, especially Temu Bloodline, we're not sticking around too long. We're just getting right to the point. We're doing the beatdown. We're doing the brutalization. Done quick, easy. We're just going to head out because we got the job done. Like, this was a much better way of building that than taking so much time to like, oh, let me get this plastic bag to put over your head. Oh, let's beat you down, and then 5 minutes later, oh, let's hoist you up and try to make you drink washer fluid or whatever. Like, I don't know. I prefer things like this because like it's utilizing your time wisely. It's having that great time management in order to tell a good story, you know? And I mean, cut back to this clip later on, like 3 months down the road, where I'm just like, hey, WWE, pick up the pace here. Let's get this pacing down and all that stuff. But yeah, that's one thing I at least wanted to highlight with the match. Because like again, it match itself, I mean, with the spots, it was fine, like, and that's kind of what you get in these weekly matches anyways. It's just like you get some decent action, but it's mainly just the story to push whatever story they're telling forward until they get to that payoff, whether it's the week of, so like the go home shows for the big PLEs, or they're on the PLEs. So yeah. Drop, I don't know if you're still there or not. He might have had to take care of something.
He probably did. The one thing I will say that let's cut to the chase at the end. Our boy Jacob Fatu came out, I believe, Nightmare Before Christmas type of style, or I think Friday type of style. Because for anybody that doesn't know, today's the date of the live stream itself is still 1 in the morning right now, but the fight itself happened on Friday the 13th. So the way Jacob Fatu popped out on the announce table, it felt like in a comedic horror type of way. So it felt very funny.
Yeah, for Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Good old Jason. Drop, did you have anything to add with the match itself and like I guess the overall presentation? Anything else that happened during like the solo LA Knight segments?
I mean, like, I don't really know, because it's like it seems like this is just building to a match like we saw towards the end, where it's like LA Knight, Andrade and Apollo Crews versus like the Bloodline in a tag match. I'm not entirely sure where that's gonna go. That's why I'm saying it's like it seems like SmackDown is like starting these little mini programs before they do that, before the transfer portal is complete. I don't know why I saw some people online thinking this transfer portal is gonna last all the way to Raw Rumble. I mean, I don't understand where the fuck that came from.
No, they said Netflix.
Yeah,
like they literally said Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like we got to like the end of the month for like all of this to come together, especially with what Nick Aldis said about, oh, we have a new superstar on SmackDown, which was Braun Strowman. Now we know he's a SmackDown guy. He was previous Raw guy. Now he's SmackDown. But it's like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like something that LA Knight and the rest of them are doing before we figure out exactly what their next destination is. That's all it really is to me. That's why I don't know if I can really like invest like any sort of predictions of where this could potentially lead, because I really don't know, because Shinsuke Nakamura isn't even involved with this. Like, he's not even taking part into this whole entire thing that's going on with LA Knight and the Bloodline and the rest of them. I mean, they didn't really do anything to Shinsuke, so why should he insert himself into this anyway?
Yeah.
So it's like,
exactly.
I don't know. I mean, to me, I will say, like, the match had a lot of good spots. It was a little bit better than I expected, to be honest, because I've seen Solo Sikoa and LA Knight so much. At this point, it's like, okay, it showed up. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, doesn't really do much for me. But, I don't know. I mean, they obviously want to do a little something before the year ends. If they want to do this with LA Knight, sure. If they want to do this with the rest of them, sure. I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Don't worry, Drop. I can tell you exactly what they're going to be used for. They're basically just going to be used for fodder next week in a 6-man tag to make Solo Sikoa look bigger and better and badder. before the tribal combat match. Like that's
Pretty much.
that's basically what this is going to be. It's just going to be a way for them to show how big and great they are. But it's just like, okay, great. You have LA Knight in there. Okay, that's a good star that you could do this with. All right, fine. Andrade, hey, another good star you could do this with. Great, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Apollo. It's like, oh, you're the Dark Order of this, aren't you? You're the dark. Like again, I know comparisons, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's just like, oh, you're like that far down the pecking order, and yet you're involved in whatever. You're gonna eat the pin. Fine, go ahead and eat the pin for the match, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no more else to say about this segment, so we're gonna move right along because our last little thing that we're gonna touch base on is our tag team scene. Now, we didn't have any, big tag team matches tonight, pushing anything forward, but we did have a couple video segments from DIY and from Motor City Machine Guns. Now, DIY was basically taking their time to kind of explain their actions, mainly Johnny Gargano, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that DIY lost the tag titles in Gargano's hometown, in his home state, and all that. Like, he felt embarrassed. He lost in front of his own kids. And so they were trying to get the rematch and all that stuff. Didn't really happen too well. But here in comes Motor City Machine Guns. 3 matches in, and they're already World Tag Team Champions. It's just like, wait. What? Why are you guys getting handed all this stuff? Why are you guys getting handed our titles? And long story short, with like Motor City Machine Guns' response, it's just like, yeah, you guys picked and chose your spots, but now that we know you're coming, now that we know your game, it's on now. That the master cannot surpass the student yet. We got to take you back to school, teach you a few lessons. So yeah, we're getting a full-on feud with DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. How hyped are you for this, first of all? Because these 2 video packages were excellent.
I'm actually glad they're allowing them to talk, where they give them like more characterization, because that's one of the things that a lot of people wanted for the both of them. They wanted them to talk a little bit more instead of just getting into these matches and just showing what they're capable of, because we already know that they're good at wrestling. A lot of people just wanted them to get some promo time, try to create a story out of this, have it make sense. And especially when it comes to DIY's case, you could actually care for them. And then when it comes to the Motor City Machine Gun, because I realized a lot of people said before that they felt like very vanilla when it came to their like presentation at first. So this could be a way for them to actually have people care about them. So yeah. I thought this was really nice. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think we're in the same boat too. It's just like, okay, because I could see the argument of, okay, Motor City Machine Guns do feel a bit vanilla, maybe dry a little bit, because when they first came in, yeah, they had a few promos here and there, but it's like we were mainly just seeing them wrestle, which is good. We should see what their style is, what they're all about like that. But yeah, they didn't really have anything to really kind of dive in with or like show their personalities and all that. And now they kind of can. Now, whether this match gets a conclusive winner or not, I don't think so, because I think the Street Profits are going to get involved next week and do something to kind of mess all this up. And hey, we'll get our other triple threat tag team title match. That'll be cool. That'll be fun. Don't we all want that? Because hey, all 3 teams can cook and everything. But yeah, again, I thought these 2 segments were really good. Really well produced, really well said too, especially from Gargano's point of view. Like, I liked hearing just why he turned and all that, and just like, oh, it's more of an ego thing for you too as well.
Yeah,
wrestlers be wrestlers, I guess. But Vash, did you have any words about these tag team segments that we had?
When it comes to the tag team segment, I love the black and white, the vignette of how they filmed this for Johnny and Campia, one thing I would say, I love how they kept transitioning them back and forth. Not one of them felt like the leader. Like they both held like their own position. They each like every time Johnny spoke, the camera went towards him, and he goes front and center. And then once Campia transitioned to the front, he went to the front step and took that step. And I love that they had like an A and B camera, so that's pretty cool. Chat, I'm giving you production mindset, so that's one thing I love when they film in this overproduction mind, like in this overproduction vignettes and promo and these type of video packages. I kind of analyze them as somebody who works in it, in this world. So I was just always find it fascinating of how they filmed this, and I really like how Johnny gave us the why. He said to us, the audience, why DIY did this, and the reason is because he was fed up that the machine gun literally came in, swoop, got the red carpet, and they lost their opportunity to the bloodline, and they just pick it up. So Johnny said, I will do whatever it takes. He said the one line, he said, did I know at the time what that meant? No. But we found out what it meant, and look what it cost. They did whatever it took, and they got it done. So I'm very happy for DIY. I believe the ending was hilarious. I think they said BTW and then some other acronym, and then said DIY. I forgot what it was. I've been wanting to look back what type of acronym they try to give us.
Tag team in the world. That's all they said.
Ah, okay, cool. Which that's questionable because I'm really curious to see how's that going to lead up to. Since right now, has always been said that the best tag team is the Usos, the New Day, and others. So I'm really curious to see how.
That's like saying, oh, this is the #1 movie in America.
Oh, like, of course, but I'm curious to see if DIY is a team that they do plan to try to have that have that stamp in the tag team.
I wouldn't
in the tag team type of division history. So I'm curious to see if they do want to do that in the future, like have a little long reign or something. So like I know it's all about the promo work, but I'm curious to see if they will actually stamp that in the history of the tag team division for them. Yeah. And then when it comes to the machine gun, their response was kind of short for me, so I didn't really analyze that too much. But it sucks that it was in the same black and white. I would have preferred if they have a different style. It felt like too kind of big copy like for them in their feud. So I wish it was a bit different, but I don't really have too much for Machine Gun. Like it felt very standard to go against the DIY promo and say like, hey, I will teach you from the master to the student. It felt like type of like a Padawan to the Jedi. It kind of felt like I would teach you, you won't become the master or something in between those lines. So overall, for me, it succeeded very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just to elaborate on that thing you said, I think it's just ego. I mean, you look at video games, you have the final boss in the game. I'm the greatest evil of all. It's just ego at the end of the day. It's like look at Roman Reigns is a perfect example of that. Out of 4 years at that title run, he thought he was the. Well, I mean, rightfully so. He was the biggest attraction in the company. He had everything to say with that, but I just think that's just a natural characteristic of a heel.
Oh yeah.
To be like, oh, I am the best, blah blah blah. But at least with DIY, they have the rapport to kind of back it up. So it's like,
they do.
That's fine. That's whatever.
You got to get some people familiar on the main roster with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know what? With that being said, that was SmackDown. I mean, to be honest, I thought it was an alright show.
Same.
Nothing really too big, except for our reveal that we're getting Tribal Combat on the Netflix show. Some more shaking up from the roster and everything. We got our finals for our Women's U.S. Championship set for tomorrow night, and I mean, Saturday night's main event is looking to be a really good night of wrestling, I think. And hopefully everybody can tune in to NBC to check it out. And if you're at the arena, hey, try to find me and Vash, because we'll be around just hanging out. You'll probably hear me screaming some woes during Cody Rhodes' entrance and all that shit, because I'm hyped for all that. But Vash, what did you think of SmackDown overall tonight?
The SmackDown was good. Like I said, one of my favorite other video packages, if I had to say my two favorite backstage type of video packages, was definitely Roman Reigns video package. Whoever says this was overproduced, respectfully, go fuck yourself, because this was a great overproduction from Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, in a yacht boat, talking about what they got in this future of the Ulafala. And then was second would be Johnny Gargano and Campia promo package very well. I love how it was well produced, the choreograph, between the transition of the camera A and B, showing like their point of view perspective. And the third one is LA Knight, his comedy in the backstage, talking about the Ufa Lufa, the Oompa Lampa, and talking about explaining how I was never wanted to be part of this with the Bloodline. I want to go and focus on gold. So I love how he's still entertaining, even in him not being in the main event picture or being for the title. He's still entertaining and he still gives good promo. And the one thing that I laughed that we didn't bring it up, it was the one slip up from Candice in her promo. Instead of her saying Naomi, she said Nama, or something between that line that she messed up her name, and she picked herself right after. So like, I'm happy she caught herself, so it wasn't like a big slip up. But anything live, it sucks. But I'm sure that was probably not a live moment. That was probably a tape moment. But I'm sure they didn't want to redo it. But that's one thing that I wanted to pop up out there. And other than that, story-wise, fight and the matches were good. Like I said earlier with the team, one of the biggest questions is the Carmelo booking. So I'm really curious to see how's that going to improve or change in the coming future. Other than that, I can't wait.
Word. And how about you, Drop? How did you think of SmackDown tonight?
I thought it was an alright show. Nothing crazy, really. I mean, the show didn't really feel like anything mind-blowing or whatever, which this is like a common theme when it comes to like these go-home shows, when it comes to these special events and PLEs. You get a little... You get a couple things here and there, mainly stuff that they want to establish. You get on the show, and I don't want to reiterate what I said before because, I mean, the timestamps are there. You could see our thoughts on that. But I'm just going to end it off by saying, it was an all right show. It did what it needed to do, which was mainly just getting our final two for the United States Championship for the ladies tomorrow and establishing the rest of the stories heading into Saturday night's main event.
Yep, exactly. And of course, our premiere on Netflix coming to you January 6th.
And we're sidecasting. Right. By the way, chat, we are sidecasting that day. Yeah. We are announcing it now that we are sidecasting at 8 p.m. that day.
Yep. And also, don't forget.
So expect.
Actually, I'll save this towards the end.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so like you can catch all of our reactions, a lot of our, thoughts as the shows are going on and all that. And yeah, I'm excited for Netflix. I'm sure everybody else is. I think we're going to be getting
and who knows, maybe
coming through.
Maybe the next Netflix episode you will see a reaction moment from the Weebs of the Ring with other reactionaries on the Netflix episode the following week. It would be insane that we're on TV.
Perhaps that could be a thing, but I'd be remiss because it is a special event tomorrow night. I'd be beside myself if I didn't at least hear some predictions from you guys. So we're gonna kind of lightning around this. You could give
rapid fire, love it.
Why you can give a quick reason why, but I mean, really, we're just gonna lightning around this. So we got our finals for the women's U.S. title. Chelsea Green taking on Michin. Vash, who you got and why?
I say, and I'm hurt to say, look, Michin, I love you, girl. I love you, and I want you to be my second champion of the U.S. I want you to be my second. But I have to give it to Chelsea Green. She's been putting the work. She's put the effort. She has done so much this year. She has helped other women as Piper and others this past year, and this deserves the opportunity for Chelsea Green. So I vote for Chelsea Green. She is my pick, and she's my choice. And if Michin wins, I'm happy with that too. But if I have to choose gun in the head, Chelsea Green.
All right. Drop, who do you got and why?
I'm going to say Chelsea Green because I feel like that one makes the most sense. Like the reasons we went over earlier. She's been putting in a lot of effort, and a title like this is really meant for people like her. Nothing against Michin or whatever it is, but if you want to reward somebody with something, especially when it came to like how Money in the Bank turned out this year, which it made sense why it went in Tiffany's favor anyway, because they want to build her as a star. I mean, this is another way to help build Chelsea Green more as a star too, because I rather have Chelsea with a belt than have a failed cash in, because I feel like that would end up being the result anyway if she won it. So at least with this, she actually can reign supreme and win a title. So I'm going to say Chelsea Green.
Word. Great. Awesome. I'm going to say Chelsea Green as well because of the reasons we had stated for the past, I don't know how long ago that we've been talking about the women's mid-card championship, but it's been since that long. It's Chelsea Green. Moving on, we've got our world heavyweight title being put on the line in triple threat action. We got Gunther, we got Damian Priest, we got Finn, Flippin' Balor. Vash, who you got and why?
I'm gonna keep it simple as Damian Priest. You know why? If you watch the show Weebs of the Ring long enough, you will know that I'm a Damian Priest supporter. I believe in Damian Priest, and I just want to pick him because he's a champion. And Finn Balor, sorry, but I will see the push that you will get next year. And Gunther, I have been against you for the past couple months, and I'm gonna keep it consistent. I love you as a wrestler. You're great, but as a champion, you're good. But just for the fun of it, I'm gonna continue to choose Damian Priest.
Tragic that you're going with Damian Priest, but hey, drop who you got and why.
I'm going to say Gunther because it really doesn't make sense for him to really lose this match, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because if you look at what's currently going on in this situation, Damian Priest and Finn Balor just want to rip each other apart. And to me, that feels like their downfall in this match. They're going to focus too much on each other, and they're going to get distracted when it comes to the real picture, which is actually trying to pay attention, try to coordinate things correctly if you want to win the world heavyweight title. And I'm actually going to throw in something in here as well that's just to spice things up a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Dominic Mysterio gets himself involved here, if he wants to fuck over Finn or do something sneaky, because we've seen Finn Balor approach Dominic Mysterio saying, "Hey kid, you're not ready." Let's say that Dominic Mysterio potentially might have some plan in his head to catch Finn Balor off guard so he can rub it in his face. But Gunther definitely will come on top in this match.
And I am also for Gunther. Why? Because he is the ring general. And yeah, Finn and Damian are going to be way too much on each other. So, yep, that's that. That's then and there. So now we've got Drew McIntyre taking on Sami Zayn in a big old grudge match. Fast, you got why?
I'm gonna choose Sami Zayn, my boy, Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre. In story wise, go fuck yourself. As a person, I love you. Can't wait to meet you and interview you. But as a,
I don't know if he's gonna want to interview you now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I understand. But if you want to do a claim on me, I will accept it graciously.
That would be
Thank
great,
you, of course. But when it comes to this match, Sami Zayn, because I feel like you're the defending champion, you'll win. You're always the underdog, and I know you'll come on top. But who I think will win is Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
All right, drop who you got and why.
I'm gonna say Drew McIntyre only because you got to give him something to work with after that loss with Punk. Especially when you're starting this whole story of him hunting down the Bloodline, you gotta have more momentum under his belt. And this is a match that Sami Zayn can lose, and it really wouldn't affect him in any way. So, besides, Drew needs it more to like really establish himself when it comes to this whole path of destruction that he's currently on right now.
Path of destruction. Yes, I agree. Drew needs the win a lot more. He's been losing a lot of big matches, and it's time now that he's back from visiting family and all that. It's time to kind of build him back up. He's gonna be hopefully away from Punk, so yeah, let's build him back up. Let's just rack on some wins, get his experience levels up again, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, he gets another shot at the title. Which, speaking of titles, we now have the women's world title on the line. We got Liv Morgan taking on Io Sky. Vash, who you got and why?
I originally thought it was gonna be Io Sky, my original choice, but doing my research, and I believe Drop posted a couple of videos on the thread of W on our Discord and everything, and coming to a conclusion, I feel like Liv Morgan should win, and that's my choice for Liv Morgan because it was set up for other stuff for next year that leads to the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Drop who you got and why.
So I'm gonna say Liv Morgan, but I know people have been talking about there being a potential title change on this show. And I personally feel like if you were going to do one on this show, I feel like this would make a little bit more sense compared to Cody and Gunther. Because if you look at it like this, let's say hypothetically, the shenanigans play out where you got Raquel Rodriguez coming out trying to help Liv in the match. Now you got Damage Control. Now you got Rhea Ripley, which they would not waste an opportunity by not having her on that show. Well, let's say hypothetically a scenario plays out where it's like Liv's trying to do all these shenanigans to win, and then things don't go in her favor. So now she has more hatred towards Rhea Ripley because she cost her that title. Then you could do a little grudge match between the both of them and conclude it. I feel like a lot of people would actually be praising Rhea if she honestly lost that title if they were gonna get that match. But because you never know what could happen. It's professional wrestling. A lot of people were coming into WrestleMania this year thinking that Cody wasn't going to beat Roman because you can't lie, there was a chance where they could have just did whatever, but they made the right decision there. But I'm going to say Liv Morgan, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a potential title change here. But I'm going to take the safe bet, and it's going to be hard to see, but I'll accept it because Io Sky Royal Rumble win would actually make me a lot more happy. So I'll say Liv Morgan for this one.
Yeah, you and I are kind of on the same mindset of that. Like, I could see the title change going to Io, but then it's just like, okay, well, then how does Rhea get there? And it's just like, are we really going to give her another Rumble win?
Yeah.
Are we going to give her the Elimination Chamber win? Like, what are we going to do with that? And it's like, okay, we could. However, I'm in the same boat. I would rather watch Io win the Royal Rumble compared to winning the title here, and that's gonna suck. That's gonna hurt. Like, because the heart wants Io to win, but the mind right now is seeing Liv Morgan picking up the win here for the women's world title, and of course, we're gonna be ending the night with our WWE Championship on the line. Cody Rhodes taking on Kevin Owens. Vash, who you got and why?
I don't need a why. It's Cody. Like KO says, the golden boy. That's it. Cody's flat. He's the winner. Like I said earlier, we have Raw on Netflix. Who do you want as champion? Cody. He's the poster boy. He is. KO keeps speaking facts that it's true. So you stated what it is. Cody Rhodes is the golden boy. He's the poster boy. He is the face. Why do you want KO? Who's a bum, wears t-shirts that are T-Rex? Nah, you need the guy that's dressed up as suits as the poster boy. Cody is winning.
Somebody kick him. I get to kick you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, there you go. You could probably throw him over
exactly.
I'm gonna kick you in the shin tomorrow.
Exactly.
A punt kick.
A lot of people have been wanting to do that for times when they see me. Some people said that they want to drop kick me with some Crocs on. I understand.
Look,
yeah,
I will kick you from the school of Orange Cassidy.
So
who's your choice, Drop? Is it Cody or is it the opponent that wears the dinosaur shorts?
What's wrong with dinosaur shorts? What's wrong with dinosaur shorts?
I'm gonna say Cody Rhodes because we talked about this earlier. I mean, WWE is always about marketing nowadays, and especially with Kevin Owens hitting Cody Rhodes with the title tonight on SmackDown and being the one standing tall and having that special treatment with Cody coming out with the American Ego belt. I mean, I feel like that's pretty much a given that Cody's going to win. Not only that, but you got a lot of stuff lined up first that you got to get through before Cody has a chance to really lose that title, so it makes sense. But Cody Rhodes definitely for sure. I honestly expect this match to be definitely has a match potential to be a match of the year. I'll say that just based on the story alone, based on what we could get out of this. I'm hoping on my end there's not a lot of commercials because that's gonna really piss me off. But and I wouldn't expect.
Oh yeah, it's on NBC. Oh shit!
And I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's on Peacock too, so you might be.
No,
lucky.
It's on NBC. From one of my understanding, from NBC, nationwide, but then worldwide. Outside of it, it's on YouTube channel of WWE.
Oh.
It's not on Peacock, from my understanding, which is weird. It's a weird marketing for that. So I'm curious to see how it's going to be.
I could have sworn it said it was streaming on Peacock.
Yeah,
I didn't hear it on Tonight Michael Cole, but hey, it's going to be weird because on tonight's going to be Peacock if it isn't or not. But the next month on the next Saturday night, many of it is going to be different. It's going to be on Netflix. So I'm really curious to see how both of each of these type of productions would be different.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it on Peacock just to play on the safe side. I don't want to get pissed off.
Yeah,
especially with 5 matches. You're doing fucking commercials, bro. Come on.
Oh my god! Like tonight, this fucking ads and commercials insane. They had, I forgot which match it was, but they had no picture-to-picture. They had strip commercial for almost like 5-6 minutes. They returned to the match.
Chelsea Green.
Oh, it was Bayley and Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
And then they fucking returned to the fucking match.
Yeah.
And then, like 30 seconds in, and then a whole picture-to-picture commercial. I'm like, whoa, yeah, are insane.
Anyways, Watkins.
Yeah.
Getting off topic.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Off topic.
Oh yeah.
Your choice is obviously Cody Rhodes, right?
I changed my answer because somebody wanted to be a dinosaur hater and hate
the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. No, KO is gonna teach that little pretty boy, that little Homelander piece of American poop. What for? He's gonna do it for Canada. He's gonna bring the Winged Eagle back to Canada because that's the thing. Yeah, he held the WWE title tonight, but guess what? That's not the title Cody's gonna have tomorrow, is it?
That's not.
Oh, no, there's a loophole. There's a loophole in all this, and Kevin's gonna take that. He's gonna go back to Canada, and he's gonna have a great time with his family, with his 6'5" beast of a son, and his beautiful wife, his daughter. I think they have a daughter too. They're gonna have a great Christmas. He's gonna be like, "Look at Dad,"
and he's gonna be wearing some dino shorts the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And he's gonna be comfortable as hell. And you know what's gonna happen after that? He's gonna eat an RKO.
Yeah.
So
that's gonna be the ending cliffhanger.
Dino hater.
The ending cliffhanger of Saturday Night Event will be an RKO.
Yeah, can't believe hating on dinosaurs.
I want a punt kick. But yeah, that's the.
Yeah, that's a prediction of Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah,
all of the predictions have been told, but you know what? As all the predictions have been told, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat who you guys think is going to win each match, who you think is going to go on and enter the road to WrestleMania as we start stumbling onto Netflix era. But again, that was the show. That was the stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed everything. And, we are social creatures at heart, as all of us humans are. And we have wonderful social media that we can be social on. And hey, Weebs of the Ring, we've got some social media, whether it's by ourselves or as a group. And the only person who knows our locations, unfortunately, he's the angel, I guess, in this situation. Because again, I have an angel and a devil on my shoulders. So Angel, Mr. Visionary, please tell the lovely audience where they can find us.
For those that actually check out the outro of the show, just quick snippet. My middle name is Angel. My full name, my birth from Colombia is Miguel Angel, aka Michelangelo. So just a quick thing. That's very funny enough. Legendary Vash dropped his box. Watkins MW and Weebs of the Ring and Animal Week 3 Studio. Those are the handles that you should be familiar in everywhere. All social medias, Twitter, Blue Sky, IG, TikTok, all the social medias that are out there being used, we're there. So go check us out. And continue supporting. Like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts about the show, and continue giving support. And also, check out the podcast on the audio feed as well. We are live and there, and all the episodes are up live. So go check us out and support us. Give us a rating on Apple and Spotify, iTunes.
Yes, do all that wonderful stuff because, hey, it's great. It's awesome. It's fan-freaking-tastic. So, hey, you know what? Thank you once again for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just told you guys to do? It's fairly easy, fairly simple. Even a caveman can do it. And you know what? I don't care if I offended any cavemen out there. It's easy. Just do it. You click, click, click the button. You click, click, click. And then you can follow us. You can talk to us. It's so easy. Right, Sydney? She's even staring at me, being like, why don't you guys do this? It's easy. But also, use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to, interact with us before, during, or after these shows. And feedback is always appreciated, as we're nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Animal Weed Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of their hard work, and thank you once again for tuning in. And just remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Buenas noches.
And before we end off, just to let you guys know, when it comes to coverage for Saturday night's main event, Vash might be here. I don't know for sure, but if not, I'll be covering the show tomorrow, just in case you guys are wondering about coverage.
Yes, I will be popping in by the second half of the show, or most likely when the show starts.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next time.